Tottenham against Ipswich on digital radio and TV from 1:30.
BBC Radio London's
BBC Radio London,
the home of London football.
Hello and welcome to another Sunday afternoon of football. It's Tottenham against Ipswich on BBC Radio London.
BBC Radio London,
the home of London football.
Hello, good afternoon. It's Sunday Sport on the home of London football. My name's Avi Bird. We're live at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where Spurs have been pretty good of late.
Out comes Flecken. Maddison scores.
For Tottenham to get their third. Dominic Solanke.
A weaving run and a wonderful goal.
12 yards. He scores. And Tottenham lead. Comes back to score. And that's goal number 2.
Brilliant free kick from Maddison. Absolutely superb.
Yeah, 6 home wins on the spin for Spurs. It's newly promoted Ipswich Town who are trying to stop them from becoming 6th, 7 out of 7. Ange Postecoglou says there's no such thing as an easy win in the Premier League, though.
It's always harder for clubs to get promoted who haven't sort of gone down and got the benefit of parachutes, payments and experience. So the fact that he's got them competitive, and I think they have been competitive in just about every game this year, is a credit to him.
The Tractor Boys are now the only team yet to win in the Premier League this season, and they've got horrible memories of their last visit to London.
And Boomer with it. He delivers 6 yard. Oh, it's got in! It's got in from Brandon Boomer! This time it does work, and Brandon Boomer's got the winner from Brentford.
Nick Godwin with his hands over his ears for that one. He'll be guiding you through this one alongside Bradley Allen. Palace are playing Everton in the WSL, and Arsenal are at Chelsea for the 4:30 in the Premier League. We'll be keeping you up to date with all of that for the next 2.5 hours right here on BBC Radio London.
BBC Radio London,
the home of London football.
Hello and welcome to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. My name's Avi Bird. Thank you very much for joining me on BBC Radio London DAB. There's players just warming up in front of us from both sides as fans start to filter in ahead of this Premier League game that's going to kick off in just under half an hour's time. Tottenham against Ipswich. You are listening to the London Sports Show on BBC Radio London DAB. Robert Elms is continuing right now on FM before Gabby Robson takes over at 2. Listen back to both of them on BBC Sounds later on today, because of course you want to stick around with us. We'll be bringing you all of Tottenham against Ipswich today, the Jason Dezell derby, the Ben Thatcher derby, the Darren Bent derby. Some might even call this one the Nick Godwin derby. Whatever they're calling it, Nick, you've got the team news.
I prefer the Mauricio Tirico derby myself, Xavi, if I'm going to pick holes in your excellent analysis. Yes, good afternoon everybody. The team news ahead of this 2 o'clock kickoff looks like this, and Tottenham are unchanged from the team that beat Aston Villa so well last weekend. Christian Romero is fit enough to start the game despite having this foot injury. There's still no Mickey van der Ven, so Radu Dragusin continues at centre half. There's no Timo Werner. Richarlison's going to be out for a bit as well, as is Wilson Odobert, and Mikey Moore, whose picture adorns the front of today's programme, has a virus and is going to be out for a little while as well, unfortunately. But this is how Tottenham are going to line up. They've got Guillermo Vicario in goal, a back four of Pedro Porro, Christian Romero, Radu Dragusin and Destiny Udogie. In midfield, Rodrigo Bentancur and Pape Sarr, with Dejan Kulusevski in the number 10 role. Once again, James Maddison on the bench, and Heung-min Son and Brennan Johnson at either side of Dominic Solanke, who very nearly turned the game against Galatasaray on Thursday, made it 3-2, and began to cause Galatasaray some problems, but they couldn't quite turn it around. 2 changes for Ipswich from the draw with Leicester. Calvin Phillips is suspended for this one, so Jens Kajuste comes in. Axel Tuanzebe returns from injury. Connor Chaplin drops to the bench, and that means a formation switch for Ipswich. Aaron Muric is the goalkeeper, a back 3 of Tuanzebe, Dara O'Shea and Cameron Burgess. Ben Johnson and Leif Davis will be the wing-backs, with Sam Morsey and the aforementioned Jens Kajuste in the middle, with Amari Hutchinson and Sammy Schmodix playing behind Liam Delap as the main striker. On the bench for Spurs, Fraser Forster, who was quite busy on Thursday, let's be honest. Yves Bissouma, James Maddison, who once again is restricted to a role on the bench. Archie Gray, Lucas Bergwall, Timo Werner, Jed Spence, Ben Davies and Will Lancashire, who of course scored his first senior goal for Spurs in Istanbul on Thursday and then got sent off. The Tottenham benches, the Ipswich bench rather, is Christian Walton, Harry Clark, Sam Wolfenden, Wes Burns, Connor Chaplin, who drops out of the 11, Connor Townsend, Massimo Luongo, formerly of this parish, George Hurst and Jack Clark as well, who also used to play here before being sold to Sunderland. Made 4 appearances as a sub for Tottenham. Our referee today is Darren England, Zavi, and kick-off is, goodness me, 25 minutes away.
Nick, thank you very much. Well, Nick mentions that Galatasaray result. Bradley Allen's sat alongside me, and a player who wasn't playing in that game, Christian Romero, starting today. How crucial could that be for Tottenham, Bradley?
Well, an important player, an international who will fly off after, this particular game. Now he's fit and selectable for further internationals, as will a good number of other Spurs players. But this is not a gimme for Spurs. You're absolutely right. Their home form for some time has been very good here. Ipswich, though, to their credit, have been in all their Premier League games. Yes, they haven't won a fixture yet at this level, but they have been competitive. They have managed to score a few goals. So Spurs have got to be professional. There's a bit of different pressure on Spurs because there's an expectation that this should be pretty straightforward and another home victory. 3 points could mathematically push them into a top 4, and with a mouth-watering quarter-final League Cup tie against Manchester United to come in December, probably going to progress to the knockout phase and the top 8 in the Europa League. All told, before this international break, I think the Spurs fans and certainly the manager will be pretty delighted with that start to the season. So that's the onus on Spurs. I think for Ipswich here, this game is one where it's a bit of a free hit. Yeah. They're not expected to get anything. I think the difficulty that Kieran McKenna has found is actually, do they press and go after the ball? And that in some games they've chose to do that. I think go back all the way to the first game against Liverpool right at the start of the season, and they just got played through and picked off. Then they've played a little bit more conservative and a little bit more defensive, but then that's negated actually some of their attacking player. So I think a little bit for this level, they've sort of a little bit been caught into schools of thought and their approach. Kieran is someone, of course, I know very well. His reputation has skyrocketed. He's done 3 amazing years at Ipswich. The foundations were already at Ipswich. Let's not forget that. It's a huge, historic, classy football club. He's pulled their socks up. It was actually a good fit for Kieran McKenna because he's an up and young coach, and what he has done on his coaching journey, Javi, that not too many people are aware of, is within the development circles. Firstly as an academy player at Spurs, as an academy coach, and then going to Manchester United's under-18s, and then working with Jose Mourinho. He has polished his coaching skills. So when that chance come at Ipswich, he was more than ready. He's bright, he's astute, he's got an analytical background as well through his education, and he knows the game. He knows the game, he has a connection with players, he's into sports science as well. So putting all those things together at the level that Ipswich are at, some of the stuff that he was doing was like Ipswich players had never seen it before in their life. Yeah. It was so innovative and forward thinking, and that's where he got the buy-in and obviously the double promotion. But now you're with the big boys. Yes. Now you're with and up against some of the best coaches, the best players, the best tacticians, the best stadiums, the best fans in the world, because the Premier League, as we know, is the biggest and best.
And you were talking earlier, just off air, about Kieran McKenna's history with Tottenham, of course, and he knows so many of that backroom staff that Ange Postecoglou has behind him.
Absolutely.
And how much is that going to play into today, do you think?
Yeah, a bit of a coach-off. Yeah. He's best friends with Ange's assistant, Matt Wells. Robert Birch, the Spurs goalkeeping coach. He knows Ryan Mason really well. So those two technical areas are going to be a great watch this afternoon. Trust me, Gary, there's going to be a coach-off between those guys. Bit of ego, and they want bragging rights this afternoon. They want to get this victory over one another. So let's have a good eye on that. I expect a game where it have opening moments and attacking moments. Spurs here in the second half against Aston Villa were terrific. Sarr was fantastic. The press, the first line of a defence, Dominic Solanke, wow, his work rate has been absolutely terrific, and he's starting to justify his price stack and get his reward for that hard work by getting on the score sheet as well for Spurs. So I would expect goals as well this afternoon.
Bradley, thank you very much. We'll be back with you shortly. So it could be a big game for Spurs near the top end-ish of the Premier League table. There's also a hugely important game near the bottom of the WSL going on at 2 o'clock today. And we'll be keeping you up to date with that one. Crystal Palace against Everton at Gander Green Lane. And that is one for us is Emily Herbert.
Yeah, and as you say, it's a clash at the bottom of the table today. Both teams really desperate for points to stay up this afternoon. Palace come in this having won all their points on the road, including a Liverpool draw, a 2-0 win with Leicester City, and manager Laura Kaminsky said this week they need to start taking full advantages of their home performances at home. So today, 4 changes. Captain Amy Everett returns to the squad after recovering from injury. However, their leading goal scorer this season, Annabelle Blanchard, is not included in the squad at all. The other changes today, Katrina Vi, Ashley Verdon and Millie Guy Jensen come in. Felicity Gibbons, Brooke Aspin and Sinead Hopcraft are on the bench. The Palace look like this: Shay Yanas in goal, a back four of Josie Green on the right, Captain Amy Everett and Katrina Vi as the centre-back partnership, and Lily Woodham on the left. A defensive midfield of Mikato and Lexi Potter, and up top you've got Paige Riley on the right wing, Ashley Verdon on the left wing, and Millie Guy Jensen sits in behind Katie Stengel as the striker. As for Everton, Brian Sorensen has a thin squad to choose from today. Their injury crisis is huge, so he makes 2 changes. Izzy Hobson and Lucy Hope make way for Claire Wheeler and Sarah Holmesgaard. Their striker Katja Snoyce is fit enough to start after being a question mark in the week, and she leads the line.
Emily, what have you made of Palace's start to life as a WSL side? Because I think with the investment we're seeing, the teams at the top are getting so much better, aren't they? But it's much more difficult for the teams at the bottom to generate results, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, they've come up from the Championship to the WSL, and there's a huge gap still there between the quality of performances you need to be able to compete in the WSL, and they've done really well. You know, they won 2-0 at Leicester City, who started, well, last season Leicester City did really well, so to come in this season and beat them 2-0 was a big result. They drew against Liverpool again, who maybe haven't had the best start, Liverpool, but they've got some quality players in that squad. Annabelle Blanchard, their leading goal scorer, 2 goals to her name, obviously isn't in the squad today, which is a big blow for Palace actually, because she controls that kind of midfield, the defensive midfield area, works the play up the pitch, and also has a pretty good shot on her too. So to not have her on the pitch today is quite concerning. We don't know why she's not here. We'll have to ask that after the game. But you've also got the added positive that Captain Amy Everett is back again. So, you know, that leadership is back in the side. And against a struggling Everton, you'd really be placing your bets on Palace to win this game today.
I was just having a look at their results. They've not scored at home yet this season, Palace. Can you put your finger on why that is? Is that just a coincidence?
I don't know. They've had maybe some difficult runs in their home games. They've had obviously Manchester City, Chelsea. You know that what was it, 8-0 to Chelsea, 7-0. Yeah. So obviously you're not going to be competing with the likes of those two because of the investment, everything, the quality of players is just not going to be there. So they've had a pretty difficult home run. Today is the first home game that really they should be putting their eye on. They can win this easily. So this could be a big moment in Crystal Palace's season today.
And you just mentioned Chelsea there. They're already 2-0 up at Liverpool. Maya Ramirez and Guro Wrighton have scored there for Chelsea. Currently in control of that game, and it looks like they're on set for 6 wins out of 6 already. What a job Sonia Van Pastor has already done there.
Unbelievable job she's done. She's the best start to a Chelsea campaign, and the best start, I think, of a manager in the WSL ever. So to come in from Lyon, where she was in the French league, and just take over Chelsea, which is a huge task. And not only just that, take over from Emma Hayes as well, who is such a successful coach in itself. 2-0 at the minute. Yeah, Myra Ramirez, Guro Wrighton with those goals. And also, they look like they're in first gear still. And I keep saying this, when they get out of that first gear, they're going to be so lethal in front of goal. They've got goal scorers all over the pitch. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be a team in blue to win it this year.
That's for sure. Emily, thank you very much for that big game at the bottom of the WSL between Crystal Palace and Everton. That's a 2 o'clock kick-off, and we'll be keeping you up to date throughout the afternoon. In front of this one, we'll be bringing you live commentary, of course, of Tottenham Hotspur against Ipswich in the Premier League. So let's turn back to focus on matters here, and chiefly on today's opponents, Ipswich Town. They're now the only Premier League team yet to win a game this season after Wolves beat Southampton yesterday. I've been speaking to former Ipswich captain and England captain Mick Mills, who's here today with BBC Radio Suffolk, and started by asking if today could be the day they get that first win of the season.
Well, I think that we're certainly going to win one sometime, because we haven't been that bad. You know, we've sort of been competitive as far as, you know, each individual game is concerned, but this is a tough one. It really is, you know, and I can't sort of say with great confidence that this will be the day, but you know, we give Tottenham a run for their money, but I think the win might come a little bit later on than today.
As you say, there's been a lot of games that Ipswich have really been in, haven't there? There've not been very many games where they've lost and they've been completely walloped and on the wrong end of that. Do you think they're going in the right direction this season? Do you think their performances are going to generate into results?
Well, it's going to be really tough. There's no question about that, and I you know, I'll be pretty sure that we're finished near the bottom somewhere when it's all finished, but we sort of have to try and cling to certain things, and one of the things we do cling to is that it's been a difficult start. You know, I sort of, what are we, this is the 11th game of the season, I think, you know, and most of them have been against top 10 teams. You know, I think again, and Tottenham will be in that group as well, you know, so we've only played about 4 teams, I think, in the bottom half of the table, so we're hoping that maybe the fixture list will get a little bit kinder to us, and then maybe a couple of wins will come our way, you know, but it's going to be tough all the way through.
What do you make of how Kieran McKenna has adapted the side to how they were playing? You know, they were playing League One football less than 2 years ago, weren't they? And obviously you can't play in exactly the same way when you're in the Premier League. How well have they adapted to life at the top level?
Well, I can't speak highly enough of Kieran. He's been absolutely fabulous. You know, you probably know the story about when he tried to become a player at Tottenham and, you know, had to sort of, you know, listen to the horrible decision to tell him that, you know, there's no future in the game for him as a player. But he you know, had enough about him to sort of think that there was something else in football for him. And the fact that he then sort of studied coaching and got involved in coaching, it gave him a head start on everybody else. You know, most people sort of play until they're 35, 36 and then go into sort of management. He, in an unfortunate way, went into sort of coaching at a very early age. So although this is his first job as a manager, he's very, very experienced as far as coaching is concerned, and he sort of arrived roughly at the right time, where management isn't about managing the whole club anymore. You know, it's about managing the training ground. And Kieran McKenna is absolutely top class on the training ground. He really is. He came in a little bit like the manager at Liverpool, you know, who's just gone in now, Slot. You know, he didn't come in and ask for another group of players. Didn't say that, you know, the man before me didn't know what he was doing. He just came in, took over the group that he inherited and made them into a good team and made them individually into good footballers, and he did that, you know, in his first 18 months in the First Division, and he did it in the Championship, and he's now having a go at doing it in the Premier League. He is going to be top class.
Talk to me about the starting 11 today, because I think you were speaking to me just now saying that it looks like they've switched to a back three.
Yeah, I mean, I do sort of the expert analysis for the local radio station, so I'm trying to sort of think all the time. You know, most people just come and watch and then go home. I have to try to analyse, and I felt all along that we're trying to sort of do things in the Premier League that we've been doing. We were very successful at doing in the Championship, and the first thing I thought, we've got to forfeit the number 10. The number 10 is a luxury for what we're trying to do. You know, I'm trying to think what we're best to do. And funny enough, today, I'm pretty sure that we're all of a sudden going to go to a back 5 today. That's very unusual for Kieran. You know, he's always been a back 4 man, and there is, we think, there's either going to be two number 10s or there's going to be no number 10s. You know, I think he's doing the right thing. He's taken a backward step. He's now thinking, I've got to make it more difficult for the opposition to beat us, and I've got to make it easier for us to gain some points. So he's taken some people would say a backward step. I think it's a forward step.
That's former Ipswich and England captain Mick Mills there speaking to me. Now I'm just going to ask Nick Godwin a question. Nick, you're from that part of the world, you grew up in Suffolk. How brilliant has it been for that area to have a Premier League side once again? Because it's been too long, hasn't it?
Well, I think from a kind of a generational situation, it's been essential that big time football's come back to Suffolk, because it had been 2 decades in which the club got itself into an almighty mess, and as often when you have a club that just kind of fades into grey, you miss capturing the imagination of a whole generation. I was lucky enough to grow up, and I was a teenager during the George Burley years, and you know, we got to Ipswich got the playoff semi-finals, and you know, it was very exciting times actually, and that meant my generation were kind of locked in. But the preceding decades were so awful that in actual fact something had to happen at a club as famous and as respected and as old as Ipswich. However, jumping 2 divisions in the space of 2 seasons has been a heck of a shock, and even West Ham managed to kind of hand Ipswich's backside to them, and you know, West Ham are in terrible difficulties this season, so it probably is a step too far given the short period of time to adjust from League One to Premier League football, but you've got to enjoy the ride, otherwise, you know, what's the point? Yeah, that's certainly true. Well, let's hear from Ange Postecoglou, shall we? And him specifically talking about one player in particular, Dejan Kulusevski, who has been very impressive in a Spurs shirt, particularly after moving into a more central midfield position. Ange Postecoglou was asked about why he thought that change of position would work and how he thinks Kulusevski has performed there this season.
The way we get our wingers to play probably doesn't suit him. More, not his skill set, more I think his personality. He's just a player who's much more engaged in the game when he's constantly involved, and bringing him into the central area means he's constantly doing that. I think at times with us last year, when he was on the wing, he kind of, you know, with the way our wingers play, you're not involved all the time. There's a discipline in keeping your position, and sometimes not receiving the ball is part of that process of, you know, we put our wingers where we do to sort of pin back oppositions, and I could see, you know, he was not frustrated, but you know, he just wanted to give more. So, you know, we obviously towards the back end of last year we played him kind of inside a couple of times, and you could see him sort of growing into that. And you know, certainly from the beginning of pre-season this year, it was always the intention to bring him inside and let him develop, and he has, and he's improving. That's the key thing. It's not like he's just gone inside, but he's actually working on his game, areas where he can hurt the opposition, working on the defensive side of his game, because it's a little bit different to playing out in the wing, and I think he's enjoying it, which obviously, you know, helps in terms of his own development.
Ange Postecoglou there, the lone trumpeter, just playing "Oh When the Spurs Come Marching In." The players aren't coming out yet. We'll just hear Postecoglou again briefly. Bradley was talking about the fact that they are going to this international break on a real high. If they win today, Tottenham, if they win today, they could go above, they will go above Arsenal and Chelsea, and into 4th, if only temporarily. They do play later, those two. Postecoglou says focusing on where they are in the league doesn't really concern him at this time of the year, though.
Like I said, just keep progressing in the way we have been. Our football, for the large part, has been, you know, pretty consistent, pretty good. We've obviously had a couple of stumbles along the way, but I think within that context, I still think, you know, we're making progress, and that's what we'll keep doing. I mean, it's no point looking at the table now, because ultimately it's where you are at the end of the season that's going to count.
So it's Ipswich Town in Tottenham's way this afternoon, still without a win in the league, of course, as we've been discussing. Big Ange says they're still a very dangerous prospect.
I've said before, I think every weekend or every league game has its potential, you know, to hurt you if you're not at your best. And yeah, Ipswich is going to be no different. As you said, they got close last week. I think they've been close in a number of games this year. I think Kieran McKenna's done an unbelievable job since he's been there, and I think they continue to grow. It's always harder for clubs who get promoted who haven't sort of gone down and got the benefit of parachutes, payments, and experience. So the fact that he's got them competitive, and I think they have been competitive in just about every game this year, is a credit to him and his players. So we're expecting a tough one on the weekend, like we do every week. But our form, particularly at home, has been pretty strong this year, and we want to continue that.
That's Ange Postecoglou there. The players are just coming out in front of us. Bradley Allen, Spurs have won 6 out of their 6 last home games. What's stopping this, very briefly, from becoming 7 out of 7?
Just if Spurs are complacent and they allow maybe Ipswich to apply tactics with this newer formation and start up that they're going to use. I think Ipswich will look for stoppages in the game, counter-attacking moments, to be strong on set plays at both ends of the pitch.
Bradley, thank you very much. Well, the players out, they're just handshaking along the line there, and we are ready here on BBC Radio London for our full commentary this afternoon in the Premier League. It's Tottenham Hotspur against Ipswich Town. I will hand you over to the very safe hands of Bradley Allen, who is alongside Nick Godwin.
Thank you very much indeed, Xavi. Well, yes, we are, as ever, at this splendid stadium where Tottenham Hotspur have really begun to feel, if you like, at home in recent times. Excellent recent home record against an Ipswich Town team who last won a Premier League game over 2 decades ago. They found the adaptation to Premier League football pretty tough. But in the past, dare I say, these are the days where Spurs have perhaps got themselves into difficulties. They'll be hoping that today is not one of those days and they can continue their excellent run at home. It is Remembrance Sunday, so we will be marking that just before kick-off as well. But let's just bring you the 2 lineups. First of all, and Tottenham have got Guillermo Vicario in goal, the back 4 of Pedro Porro, Christian Romero, Radu Dragusin and Destiny Udogie at the back. In midfield, Rodrigo Bentancur and Pape Sarr, with Brennan Johnson, Dejan Kulusevski and Heung-min Son playing behind Dominic Solanke. Still no Mickey van der Ven defensively. Aronat Murik is the goalkeeper for Ipswich. A back 3 of Axel Tuanzebe, Dara O'Shea and Cameron Burgess. In midfield, Ben Johnson, Sam Morsey, Jens Kayuste and Leif Davis. Up front, Amari Hutchinson and Sammy Smodits playing behind Liam Delap, the leading goal scorer. On the bench of Spurs, Fraser Forster, Yves Bissouma, James Maddison, Archie Gray, Lucas Bergvall, Timo Werner, Jed Spence, Ben Davies and William Lancashire. And for Ipswich, Christian Walton, Harry Clark, Sam Wolfenden, Wes Burns, Connor Chaplin, Connor Townsend, Massimo Luongo, George Hurst and Jack Clark. It is Remembrance Sunday and the 2 sets of players are just making their way towards the centre circle. We're going to have a period of silence and the last post as everybody here inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium pays their respects to those who've lost their life during wartime. Here we hand you to the stadium PA announcer to take us through the formalities.
Traditional red poppy wreath is a mark of respect to those that have lost their lives in armed conflict, alongside the purple poppy wreath in remembrance of candles lost in service.
So a traditional red poppy wreath and a purple poppy wreath as well to commemorate the animals that lost their lives during wartime.
We shall now observe a period of silence during which the last post will be played by retired Corporal Andrew Lofthouse. This period of silence will start and end on the referee's whistle. Please remain silent until you've heard the referee's second whistle.
silence and the last post as well, as the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium marks Remembrance Sunday live here on BBC Radio London. That purple poppy wreath along with the traditional red one taken away from the centre circle. They'll be raising money for Animal Aid, the Murphy Army, the Blue Cross and the War Horse Memorial as well, for animals that are injured and killed in war. And the wreaths were laid by serving members of the Armed Forces Spurs Official Supporters Club, and they played an important role in marking a very special occasion. The Ipswich Town players, who were in a lurid pink outfit, it's the only way to describe it, not terribly traditional, but these days I suppose all kits are a fair game, aren't they? There's no traditional colours anymore. For home or well, there are for home kits, just about. For away kits, yeah, they look like highlighter pens, the Ipswich Town players, as they break away to our left. Ipswich then will watch Spurs kick off, and it's Dominic Solanke who came on to good effect against Galatasaray during the week, unable to turn things around. Looks as though Ipswich are going to start with a 4, so despite much discussion of whether or not there would be a 3 at the back for Ipswich, Bradley Allen has correctly identified that the first chapter of the coach-off has been won by Ipswich and Kieran McKenna. Everyone thought they were going to play 3 at the back. We are underway. Tottenham in white shirts with blue sleeves, blue shorts and white socks. Ipswich in all pink. And Christian Romero back on. Oh, no, they've gone to a 5. Well, this is fun. We'll let them settle down now, as Ipswich has to do some defending early on, with Solanke driving forward into the box and coming across to clear the danger is Cameron Burgess. But Ipswich goes out for a throw-in on this near side of the field, which will be taken by Destiny Udogie, who was an unused sub against Galatasaray during the week, so he's had a little bit of a rest. Still had to travel though. He's in the team today. Here's Kulusevski playing at 10 with Maddison on the bench. He goes down under a challenge. Ben Johnson's going to try and run this away from danger. He skips in field, and then Smodic is going to lift this over the top. Charging down the right goes Kajuste, but he can't get hold of it. Hutchison can though, and he gets away down the right, sends a cross into the penalty area. Oh, that's awkward, and it might drop to the edge of the box, and a shot that's turned away by Vicario at the near post. Sammy Smodic bursting between 2 defenders and getting a shot away about 6 yards out, and Vicario turned it round the post.
Good moment for Ipswich. First attacking anger down their right hand side, a spinning, bouncing ball that Dragosin failed to deal with. They got to the byline. Smodic's into space. He probably should have scored, Nick. He's about 3 yards out, and if he's lifted his shot over Vicario, the Tractor Boys would have been in front.
After just a minute, here is a corner. Swung in towards the edge of the 6-yard bar. It's ricocheted off about 2 defenders there. Burgess, I think, made the initial contact, and it hit another Ipswich player. It may have been Dara O'Shea.
A couple of players asking, isn't there, if there was a handball there. It's not been checked, I don't think. It's a poor challenge by Delat. Clumsy on Romero.
Free kick. Yeah, well,
as he initially tried to play out, but good start from Ipswich.
There's been a goal in the WSL game between Crystal Palace and Everton at Gander Green Lane. Emily Herbert.
There has, and Crystal Palace going to the lead inside 1 minute. India Page Riley with the strike. Perfect goal scoring opportunity. Couldn't miss. Straight on with Brosnan. Palace in the lead. It's Crystal Palace 1, Everton 0.
And it's Tottenham 0, Ipswich 0, but Ipswich have had the best chance of the game so far, and they cause problems from the corner as well. Here's Heung-min Son, gets Udogie away down the left-hand side. Solanke in the box. Udogie drives at the edge of the penalty area, gets held up, gives it to Son, who swings this in. That's awkward, it's touched wide by Brennan Johnson from 3 yards. It eluded Solanke to cross from Son, and Johnson stole in, made contact, looked for all the world as though he was going to prod it into the net, but he stuck it wide.
Well, 3 minutes in, we're going to get goals this afternoon. Ipswich could have had 2. Spurs there. Cut back, in-swinging cross, brilliant from Son. Solanke and Johnson were trying to get across the line of the delivery, and it was just maybe a bit too heavy on the volleyed contact and finish Johnson that's diverted the ball wide of Murit's post.
Well, we're certainly in for a bit of a treat at the moment when it comes to at least chances. Some of the Tottenham defending frankly, redolent to what we saw against Galatasaray, as this pass forward by Porro goes all the way through to Miric away to our left. We have a battleship grey sky, relatively cold conditions. It feels very much like the sort of weather we'd expect on Remembrance Sunday. It was a bit misty, in fact still just on the upper echelons of the stand on the far side. It looks a little bit gloomy and misty as Burgess goes long. The target here is Smodic, who had that big chance a little bit earlier. Given to Kulusevski, just inside the Ipswich half of the field. Finds Sarr. There's a man over here for Spurs if they want to use a doggy. Sarr eats up territory, reaches the edge of the box, gets it wide to Udogie. Back to Sarr again. Tottenham with plenty of possession at the moment. Bentancur gets it back to the halfway line, and Romero. Ipswich pull everybody back into their own half of the field. Looks like it is a 5 at the back now for Ipswich, or it certainly is whilst Tottenham are attacking. Tuanzebe, O'Shea, Burgess, the three centre halves, Johnson on the right and Davis on the left. It comes back to Dragusin. Didn't have an easy time on Thursday in Istanbul. You'll be very pleased to see Christian Romero alongside him.
The lad Osman was pretty good on the night, Nick.
Just a bit, wasn't he? Yeah. Could have had about 5. Disappointed to come off having scored twice, I think. Here's Romero on the halfway line again, rolled in field. Son helps it on. Kulusevski runs at the edge of the box. Solanke bursting between 2 defenders, and a third gets forced wide. Set back for Porro now, corner of the Ipswich penalty area. Smodic's back trying to hold him up. Comes back to Romero. Tottenham in control of the game at the moment. It's 0-0 after Ipswich's lively start. Spurs should also have scored though. Quite how Brennan Johnson didn't hit the target from the range he received the ball is unclear at this point. You're listening to BBC Radio London. Romero gets this back to Dragusin just inside his own half of the field. He's going to turn away from traffic and go back to Vicario, who also had the night off on Thursday. Fraser Forster was between the sticks. He's on the bench today. And here's Dragusin once again in a central position. The runner down the left is Kulusevski. Coming across is Tuanzebe to deal with the threat, and Tuanzebe has taken it away from Kulusevski and drills the ball downfield. Keeps it in play though. Sent forward by Dragusin. Kulusevski collects it again, and then O'Shea has to hack it clear from the edge of his own penalty area. Here's Sarr, given to Porro on the right and wide to Johnson. Going to try and give it back to Porro. There's a foot in from Leif Davis, who just has to hack it clear at the moment. Ipswich are just trying to keep distance between the goal and the ball.
They're dropping deeper, Ipswich, even upon their clearances. It's not sticking when it goes to lone striker Delap. And you correctly highlighted, Nick, it's pretty dominant from Spurs. In possession, they're probing, they're working, they're pushing, pulling Ipswich around here. And they're trying to get that next opportunity as we approach 7 minutes on the clock.
Well, Ipswich won their last game here extraordinarily in December 2001, just down the road at the old White Hart Lane. You may remember it, as this drops to the halfway line where it's collected by Davies for Ipswich. Morsey, the captain, sends this forward for Delap, who goes down but holds it up. And Ipswich are coming forward down their left-hand side. It's with Kajuste, who's going to try and get away on that flank. Tries to take on Porro and beats him into the penalty area. Cuts it back. Hutchinson arriving. He can't make contact. Tottenham scramble it clear, but they're still coming forward, the tractor boys. It's with Smodic on the left, running at the edge of the penalty area. Goes on the outside of Porro. Teasing cross, and just before it reaches Johnson, Udogie heads it behind for an Ipswich corner.
Well, fair play to Ipswich. I wasn't sure, Nick, what their approach to the game will be, but when they have had their attacking moments, I know Johnson's had one good effort and he might have got that on target for the Spurs from Son's cross from close range, but Ipswich look really dangerous going forward, and they've forced another corner here.
Pretty certain that Kieran McKenna would have had a watch of Thursday night and thought that there are opportunities to get at this Spurs backline. Davis is going to take this corner. Burgess forward. O'Shea. Ben Johnson in the mix as well. Kajuste at the far post. This one is floated towards the far post, and it's headed off the crossbar. I think it was O'Shea who met it, and it clips the bar on its way across. And now an opportunity for Spurs to counter-attack, and Son is racing down the left. and he crosses early but can't find Kulusevski, who will pick it up wide on the right, sends a cross in himself, it's blocked, comes to Johnson with the volley from the edge of the penalty area, and it sails over the top, and the chances continue to come thick and fast at 0-0.
Well, clever from Davies. That corner then was a different one to the back post. As Shea come round, we know from his Burnley days he's a threat, he's aggressive, he attacks, he did well, he sort of angled a header back across when the position was against him a little bit, and it thudded against the crossbar, and Spurs were fortunate. You know, the ball came to Porro and they were able to clear, and then at the other end a counter-attack, but credit to Ipswich, you know, they run back towards their own goal and 9 players got back and supported Muric.
You can see O'Shea going, do I have to run back now? I've just hit the bar, but his presence was required. Here come Tottenham again, it's 0-0. It's been very lively here on BBC Radio London. Kulusevski down the right, 3 in the box, bides his time, uses Bentancur, he drives in an effort, drops to Solanke, whose shot is deflected over the top. Well, you cannot stop watching chances at both ends. It's now a Tottenham corner.
Yeah, nearly 10 minutes in, really front foot, positive attacking start to this game. Maybe the ball was just spinning off of Bentancur's shot and it broke to Solanke. He had a touch, but the Ipswich defenders were able to get close enough to block his effort. Spurs set play now, in swinger, Kulusevski from the right.
A reminder, it's 0-0. Kulusevski then left-footed, so it'll bend in. And it does whip in, and it's headed away by Burgess for Ipswich. Comes out to Udogie, last man back for Spurs. Gets it wide to Son, who's seen quite a bit of it, and he gets away from Johnson into the penalty area, goes past 2, and a third, shoots, saved by Muric, down to his left.
Good advantage from the referee, Darren England. He wriggled his way through 3 Ipswich players there, Son, into the box, curling effort as he's opened up the opportunity. Comfortable save, Muric, down to his left-hand side.
I just keep saying it's 0-0, just in case you might be in another room and you've got the radio on and you can just hear all these chances. You think, well, someone must have scored. Nobody has. It's very watchable. Now that's given away by Smodic, collected by Sarr on the halfway line for Tottenham, who wriggles past the challenge of Kajuste and makes progress down the right. Solanke makes his way to the edge of the penalty area. It's a nothing ball by Sarr. I think he expected Kulusevski to make a darting run down the right edge of the penalty area, but didn't get anywhere near it, and it's going to go out for a goal kick, and we can pause momentarily and take breath, because we've had Brennan Johnson, Dara O'Shea, Sammy Smodic all have big chances in this game. None of them have gone in so far, and it's 0-0. As I mentioned, Ipswich won their last game at the old White Hart Lane, December 2001. Alan Armstrong and Finidi George with the goals for Ipswich on that occasion. This goes back to Vicario, whose clearance just about finds Porro. Then Hutchinson with a challenge that the referee allows to pass without any sanction, even though Porro was looking a bit mournful, and he still looks as though he had the stuffing knocked out of him as the ball goes back to Vicario. It's a little bit edgy, isn't it?
It certainly is. Yeah, credit to Ipswich there. You know, Spurs took a little bit of a risk when they tried to play out Romero into Porro, and Ipswich were aggressive in their press. Porro's just played a long ball, pretty aimless in behind.
It's going to go out for a throw-in on that far side. Yeah, there have been a couple of moments when Spurs have had good possession in the final third of the field and made a bit of a dog's dinner of it, but Leif Davis is going to take this throw-in on that far side of the field. Here's Sarr collecting the possession for Tottenham just inside Ipswich territory. Those pink shirts shuffle across. Morsey comes to close him down. He offloads to Romero. Still no Mickey van der Ven at the back for Tottenham. Just a reminder, he continues to be out. They've got some other absentees as well. Richarlison, Timo Werner, Mikey Moore, the teenager who's broken into the first team recently, also not available for today's game. Will Lancashire is on the bench. He scored and got sent off on Thursday against Galatasaray. Bit of space here for Romero to move down the right for Tottenham. Moves infield for Bentancur. Ipswich curl up in their own half. as Tottenham try and probe and push, but everyone behind the ball in a pink shirt. Then Son makes has a slightly heavy touch, and Morsey, the Egyptian, snaps in to put it out of play for a throw in. Kieran McKenna with some instructions for his team already on the edge of his technical area. And Postecoglou, his usual stoic self, on the edge of his technical area. 0-0 on BBC Radio London. Porro's ball forward is easily cut out by O'Shea. Out wide to the flank and Smodic, and a bit of space for Cajuste to move into down that left-hand side. Bentancur shuts that down, and then it's whipped back in field for Dara O'Shea, one of the three centre-halves Ipswich are operating with this afternoon. It goes back to Axel Tuanzebe, who would have known Kieran McKenna during his time at Manchester United. Back it goes to Muric, and then Morsey has to get rid of it on the edge of the penalty area because Pape Sarr was bearing down on him. Hutchinson holds it up. Tuanzebe into Morsey. They're trying to play out from the back here, Ipswich, and in the end O'Shea just leathers it across the pitch, right to left, as Ipswich look at it. And I think the target was Smodic, but it goes out of play.
I suppose his work rate there was good. It eventually forced the issue. They did show some composure and completed some successful passes, but eventually the athleticism of this Spurs side got to a player that forced the issue, and it was just kicked straight off the field of play by O'Shea, the Ipswich defender.
Oh, now Bentancur gets caught in possession on the halfway line. Dragusin has to help him out by slamming the ball away. There's a Spurs player down. It's Sarr. Long way from the action at the moment. He's getting up and hobbling. He isn't looking at the bench, so it's possible he'll be able to continue. And this game has perhaps gone down one notch after a frantic start. Still looks as though either side can trouble the two defences. You mentioned at the top of our programme, Bradley, that a lot of the coaches involved in the preparation for this game know each other very well. How is the coach-a-thon going, do you think?
Yeah, I think Kieran McKenna with Ange, as you'd expect, the pair of them to the edge of the technical areas. Matt Wells has come out. I think he's encouraged Porro on the far side to sort of push out and get a little bit tighter to Smodic, because a couple of times he's received the ball with composure. It's allowed Ipswich to get out and build a couple of attacks, but they continue to be very compact. They're moving from either a 4 to a 5 or a 5 to a 4, and they've got their midfield line, and Delap really has not been involved and cut a bit of a lonesome figure, but Kieran will be very happy as you're going, and he showed some athleticism as well, just from the heart of midfield.
Delap gets it wide to Smodic. In comes the cross. It's blocked. It's going to come to Davis. His shot's deflected. It scoops up in the air from Udogie. Not clear yet for Tottenham. In the end, Romero kind of wafts a foot at it. Doesn't find another white shirt. Ipswich lock Spurs into their own half of the field. We played for 17 minutes on the home of London football. This is BBC Radio London, and it is 0-0. Here's Ben Johnson on the right, formerly of West Ham, of course, as Tuanzebe plays his forward. Ipswich having a little spell of possession. O'Shea shifts it wide to Tuanzebe. Forward for Hutchinson. Back to Tuanzebe once again. Tottenham watching on at the moment, just waiting to see where the next threat's going to come from. We're going to go to Gander Green Lane in just a second. Here's Leif Davis on the left for Ipswich. Into Morsey, central position. And now for Tuanzebe, sends it forward for Hutchinson. Udogie anticipates and tries to feed it for Son as Johnson fouls Jungmin Son. Yeah, yes he has. Free kick Spurs, so the spell is broken slightly, and we'll go to South London, the WSL. Crystal Palace Everton, 2 o'clock kick-off there too. Emily Herbert.
Crystal Palace still in the lead by 1-0. Most of the possession has been for the Eagles. Great chance just a minute ago for Katie Stengel, but has dealt with on the edge of the box from the Everton defence. Mikasa with another shot, but apart from that, it's been a little bit cagey in midfield. 17 minutes played. It's Crystal Palace 1, Everton 0.
And it's 0-0 here. Thank you, Emily. It's collected by Dragusin at the back for Spurs, who uses Vicario. Both these teams have, dare I say, laboured to play out from the back in the way that both managers would have wanted. Although having said that, Vicario spots a great run from Porro, and here comes Spurs over the halfway line. Johnson wide on the right. Son and Solanke in the penalty area. Johnson shifts the ball infield for Sarr, who lets it run for Udogie, and now Sarr once again. Everybody in an Ipswich shirt now back behind the ball. This game is either one thing or the other. It's one team exerting pressure on the other, and the defensive team kind of locks themselves in their own third, or it's the other way round. At the moment, it is Tottenham's turn to attack. Played forward for Solanke, edge of the box, gets a chance to shoot. Good save by Muric, down to his left. He was allowed to bring it down and get the shot away, but the Ipswich keeper dealt with it.
Yeah, quite clever from Spurs. Porro opted not to cross it when Ipswich fell back in. It went back to Romero. He chose to. Saad run offside, but off his first touch, chest control, swivel and effort, Solanke, good save down to his left again from Muric. Spurs corner.
Corner number 2 for Tottenham in this fascinating fixture already, with 19 minutes gone at 0-0. Here's the delivery, whipped in by Kulusevski and headed away by Dairo Shea, who's won most set pieces in both boxes so far. Back to Kulusevski, in comes another ball. Muric comes and claims well. That was a gamble, but he got 6 yards from goal, grabbed it, feeds Hutchinson. Here come Ipswich through the middle of the field. Delap brings this under control and is then dispossessed by a very firm but fair tackle by Rodrigo Bentancur, and Tottenham come forward again, and the Spurs fans sense something. Here's Kulusevski down the left, given to Sarr in a crossing position, moves the ball infield 30 yards from goal. Bentancur back to Sarr, the two of them exchange passes. Ipswich retreat. Here's Son down the left, level with the edge of the Ipswich penalty area. Udoghi's gone beyond him. Son whips in across, too close to Muric, who gathers very comfortably. It's still exciting, Bradley.
Interestingly, I think this is a problem a little bit for Spurs. I know that cross went in and Solanke off his second touch was able to get a shot at goal. But one thing that I noticed that Spurs actually tactically did quite well is they opted to just leave Solanke pressing the ball in the second half against Aston Villa, defenders and goalkeeper. And then, when the ball then was played into midfield, there's a yellow card here. Just got a bit frustrated, kicking the ball away.
Yeah, the card's been produced, and it's going to be
Tuanzebe, actually. Sorry, Nick.
Well, I was going to say he waved it. I thought he was waving it at Hutchinson at one point. Is it Tuanzebe who's gone in the book? Goals elsewhere. Chelsea women now lead Liverpool women by 3-0. Agnes Beever-Jones with a late one there, kicked off at 12:30, so not long to go. Manchester United lead Leicester by 1-0 in the 2 o'clock kickoff in the Premier League. Bruno Fernandes and Galatasaray are playing right now against Samsunspor. Guess who scored the second goal, Bradley? Victor's got his eye in.
Yeah.
Osherman's made it 2-1. He got a couple the other day. More goals in a second. Tottenham on the attack. Here's Udoghi. Nottingham Forest has scored against Newcastle as well. Murillo with the goal for Forest. So goals elsewhere in the 2 o'clock kickoffs, but none here at the moment, here on BBC Radio London. It's with Destiny Udoghi coming forward for Tottenham on the corner of the Ipswich penalty area. Little ball down the left for Son. Going to try and prod it round Tuanzebe is a big unit to get round, and Morsey is able to clear for Ipswich. But Tottenham continue to hammer away at the Ipswich door. We've played almost a quarter of the game. It's 0-0. Here's Romero. Down the right, sends in a cross that eludes every white shirt. Nobody got anywhere near that. That's going to be easily shepherded out of play by Ben Johnson. Goal kick.
That's sort of the point that I'm making, Nick, where when Spurs maybe slow the build-up and their opponents then fall back in, huge numbers, very congested, back to the edge of their 18-yard box. What Spurs did a little bit different in the second half against Aston Villa, in build-up they almost let Aston Villa add a pass or two when they played out, and then Spurs then, when they intercepted the ball in the middle of the pitch, then had some space to break back into where Aston Villa had moved out into position and left that. At the moment, Spurs are not being given much space to accelerate or attack into, because the discipline and numbers of the Ipswich player so far has been very organised.
A pause as Amari Hutchinson gets some treatment inside his own half, and the coachathon continues. The Ipswich coaches calling their players over to the bench for some more instructions. Cameron Burgess being spoken to. There's a bit of a chat with the fourth official on that side of the field as well. So 0-0. Hutchinson's going to be okay to continue. But you mentioned that Kieran McKenna's going to be pretty happy with the way Ipswich have done things. Is Ange Postecoglou just sitting there playing the Brennan Johnson chance over and saying, why hasn't that gone in?
Let's be fair, Nick, Johnson's had a great chance for Spurs, but nothing else for the home team. Ipswich have had 2 really good opportunities And on balance of play, although they've been a bit defensive, they offered a little bit of threat, and it's one of those games. If Spurs are not careful, they get to the hour, still 0-0. It might open up, and they'll get further encouragement and confidence, Ipswich, into what they're doing, and they may well nudge a goal and get themselves the first victory of the season.
We are ticking up to the end of the 24th minute here. We're back underway, and Ipswich are trying to come forward. Dragusin's back heel takes it away from Delap. It's played back into the Spurs box, where Rodrigo Bentancur is going to steam forward. Tall, angular player, very sort of upright running style. Gets it out wide to Porro, who crosses early towards the edge of the Ipswich box, headed away by Tuanzebe. Hutchinson's going to collect the ball for Ipswich. Ben Johnson has shifted it in field, and Kajuste has wriggled away.
He's been really
Johnson.
Good in moments, hasn't he? Kajuste handled the ball, drove forward. He looks a player at the moment. Credit to him.
On loan from Napoli. It's his third start for Ipswich in the Premier League. 25-year-old Swede. Here's Leif Davis for Ipswich on the far side. It's guided back to Burgess, and then Morsey will send a bouncing ball back to Muric away to our left, and he's going to clip this out to the flank. Davis tries to help it on, only to the feet of Bentancur, who fires the ball early towards the Ipswich penalty area.
There was
out for a throw.
There was a description there of the point that I was trying to make. You know, Ipswich opened the pitch up. They tried to play out. When Bentancur did regain it in the middle of the pitch, there was space then, and he just couldn't find Solanke with his pass.
Porro moving forward. Johnson's low cross. Oh, deflected off an Ipswich player into the arms of his goalkeeper.
Davis it was. Johnson's cross from Spurs right. The goalkeeping again. Everything's going that side for Muric, and he's handling it pretty well so far.
Yeah, Davis tried to close down Johnson, and he just stuck a foot out, I think, to try and block it behind, and it changed the trajectory of the ball, and Muric had to move swiftly to his left to make sure he grabbed it. Ooh, Delap just keeps that in play. And then the referee gets in the way. It's unhelpful, Darren England. Move yourself, man. And then Ipswich are unable to capitalise. And
terrible refereeing.
Well, he's watching the ball.
Yeah, his pitch geography there was awful.
I think he's just apologised, actually, which is reasonable to Sammy Smodic. I think he knew he got in the way, and I think if you put your hand up and say, look, yeah, I'm sorry about that, it's better than trying to style it out. Sarr goes down inside his own half. Foul by Morsey, free kick. Just a one yellow card. Axel Tuanzebe shown it. But I can't believe we've got to 26 minutes and there have been no goals. Been loads and loads of chances. Solanke lays it off for Kulusevski, gets it wide to Johnson, right hand side, crosses early, another deflection and headed behind by O'Shea. I don't think he was convinced that Muric could scramble across his 6-yard area to grab it. Another Spurs corner.
Yeah, he might have done better there. He had a bit of time, a bit of space, a corridor to put the ball in. It was blocked again from Johnson's effort, and O'Shea took no chances. Spurs trying to take a short corner here.
And Porro whips it in, and it's claimed by Muric again, who is getting behind or onto virtually everything Tottenham are throwing at him at the moment, the former Burnley goalkeeper. He's made a number of saves, including one from his own player. And don't forget, if you want to boil this down, Ipswich have hit the bar. Spurs have yet to conjure anything of that sort. Brennan Johnson's best opportunity didn't hit the target. Pedro Porro with a wayward header that goes straight to Cameron Burgess, and then Burgess puts the ball straight out of play for a throw-in. So not an exhibition moment in the best league in the world, but with nearly 28 minutes on the clock, it's been a very, very watchable game of football. This match is currently being drawn. Worth mentioning, Spurs have gone 26 home games since their last draw. So the chances of this one ending level are slim, even though Ipswich are the draw specialists. It's the only way they've earned any points so far this season. Tuanzebe waxed this out of play.
Yeah, great challenge by Bentancur. The tricky Hutchinson tried to break, didn't he, and dribble. He's diminutive but clever and has speed and a change of direction. But strong play there from the Spurs midfielder.
A reminder, Ipswich have drawn 5 of their 10 games so far this season. They've lost the other 5, so they have 5 points. Tottenham start the day on 16 in 9th position. The teams above them aren't, well, Arsenal are playing, so Tottenham, if they win, would go above Arsenal, who are currently on 18. They play Chelsea at 4:30, and we'll look ahead to that one later in the programme. Romero sends this forward for Tottenham Hotspur to Johnson on the right. Played in field for Bentancur, helps it on to the edge of the penalty area. Johnson nods it down. Kulusevski edge of the box. He's going to try and get this back from Solanke, but calm defending by Davis. Really good stuff as he skips past 2 or 3 challenges and then gets dispossessed, but there was a foul on him earlier in the move. Free kick to Ipswich.
Yeah, I think he's giving Ipswich one there because he's getting in the way of Smodics 4 minutes ago. Good defending though from Davis. Composure as he carried the ball out of the box, away from Bentancur, away from Solanke. There was a slight clip of the heel. The advantage was good from the referee, but he's pulled it back, and Ipswich will be happy with the free kick, and it's been a steady 30 minutes for them.
No goals yet. Murich's free kick goes long. The target is, well, Hutchinson, and he's going to get it by the Tottenham corner flag. Being harassed by Udogie, and Tuanzebe's battling with Son right in front of us as we sit in the press gantry above the dugouts. Ipswich have done really well to retain the possession here. It's swung out to Johnson again, into Hutchinson, who played youth football at Arsenal before joining Chelsea and then making the £20 million move to Portman Road after a loan spell. Kajus, he moves past players well, doesn't he? This has been sent forward into the penalty area from Delat. It's going to be left for Johnson on that right side. Here is Kajus again. He's going to send it into the box looking for Delat. He can't get hold of it. Oh, bicycle kick goes in from Smodic. What a strike for Ipswich. He had to hook it back over his shoulder. There was nothing else on, but Sammy Smodic gives Ipswich the lead with 15 minutes to go to half time. They couldn't deal with the cross, and the former Blackburn player pounces. Spurs nil, Ipswich 1.
Well, the best player in the Championship last season. They eventually secured his services at Ipswich. I see him as a youngster at Colchester, and he went to Bristol City and he suffered a really bad injury. Getting a little bit older now, but he's got his career going. He can play, he can handle the ball. What a finish that was. It looped in, it was behind him, overhead kick. Wonderful effort from Smodics. And Nick, I've got to say, on balance of play, Ipswich do deserve to be in front. Cheeky goal, that one.
Absolutely. You could just see Johnson and Porro, who are either side of him, and you can read their minds. They're going, well, he can only do, he's not, oh, he's done it. And that is why Ipswich lead, and now there's a problem with Dominic Solanke. Smodic is being hailed by the Ipswich fans on the far side.
And well, enjoy doing that, Smodic, here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, because I'm led to believe as well, Nick, he's a West Ham fan.
Day gets worse for Tottenham, doesn't it really? Now, Solanke down injured. I'm not quite sure why. They're dealing with his left leg and they're rotating the knee at the moment, which is not a good thing considering Ipswich are in front. They've not won a Premier League game for over 2 decades, but they lead here. Let's pop back to Gander Green Lane. The WSL is Crystal Palace, Everton, and it's Emily Herbert.
Well, Crystal Palace still in control here at Gander Green Lane. It's Crystal Palace 1, Everton 0. McCarthy's had a few shots on target for Crystal Palace, sending Courtney Brosnan the wrong way, dive into her left. But apart from that, nothing's really happened. It's 32 minutes on the clock. It's Crystal Palace 1, Everton 0.
Earlier on, Liverpool 0, Chelsea 3. It finished. West Ham against Leicester gets underway at 3 o'clock. And the London Women's Football Show is live on BBC Radio London at 6 o'clock on Tuesday. And if you can't catch it then, you can download it later on Tuesday evening on BBC Sounds. I regret to tell Tottenham fans that Dominic Solanke remains sat down on the edge of the centre circle in the Tottenham half of the field, and there continues to be concern over that left knee of his. We're being shown a picture of some of the fans in the stand, and Ipswich Town celebrity fan Ed Sheeran is here today. Much excitement about that. Solanke's got up and is now moving relatively gingerly towards the halfway line. Doesn't look as though he's in massive bother, although he was down for a while, Bradley. So I mean, they were a bit worried about
it. It was a soft tissue, a muscular injury, because it was about 3 minutes ago when Spurs had an attack centrally and he started to move and he wasn't quite accelerating as at the top speed that Solanke always does. Just getting himself a drink, just steadying himself. The doctor, the medical, just checked him. Spurs fans will be desperate. The manager, we're really hoping that he's going to be okay. He's not sure, Nick. No, with an England call-up as well.
Well, Werner is getting ready. Timo Werner, who's been out for a little while with an injury himself. But they are still wondering whether to send him back on, and he is coming back on. With his recent record, Spurs are going to need him. 3 goals in his last 2 games, 4 Premier League goals already this season, and in the England squad as well. These are anxious moments for Lee Carsley, Ange Postecoglou and Dominic Solanke. He seems to be moving okay at the moment. He's chasing this ball back to the edge of the Ipswich penalty area. O'Shea rolls it across the box. Burgess clips it out wide to Davis, and Ipswich lead. We had a delay in the restart because of the Solanke injury, so we'll have quite a bit of added on time at the end of this first half. Sami Smodic has put Ipswich Town in front. Kulusevski has kept this in play, has he? Well, I think he's been fouled. No. Referee allows the guy. I thought the ball went out and I thought there was a foul, but the assistant referee and the referee, who, to be fair, are much closer than me, disagree. Here's Dragusin on the halfway line. Spurs would like a response before the interval. Now, it's worth mentioning Spurs have come from behind to win 24 points at home in 2024. Here's Solanke. Can he get hold of this ball as it runs away from him and goes to the Muric? Answer no.
Yeah. O'Shea wanted a foul.
And the other
not
thing,
given. Solanke chasing it down. Looked all right on his run and his movement now on the Spurs diagonal.
The other thing to mention is that Ipswich have dropped 12 points from winning positions this season. They've only got 5. That is the brutality of top-flight football in this country. Here's Davis down the left. Stepping in is Romero to win it back for Tottenham. Given to Son, centre of the field. Udogie galloping down that left-hand side. Can he get there? Oh, there's a big challenge from Ben Johnson on the edge of the penalty area. Darren England in a good position to wave play on. Udogie's not complaining.
He's playing there, isn't he? Johnson, he's doing a man-to-man job. If Udogie athletically tries to get forward and overlap Son. But brilliant recovery from the former West Ham fullback.
Good challenge.
Solid challenge. Well timed.
Yeah, because that was, the crunch point, wasn't it? Right on the edge of the box. If he lets him go, he's sure on goal. He had to make the challenge there and then, even though had he got it wrong, it almost certainly would have been a penalty. 8 minutes to go to half time, plus the added on time for a couple of injuries that we've had in the game so far. Spurs trailing. Here's Porro down the right, deep in Ipswich territory, whips in across. Muric claims it again, and he's been utterly dominant, the Ipswich goalkeeper, in and around his 6-yard box.
He's marshalled his 6-yard, 18-yard box very well on occasions where Spurs have crossed. He's made some saves, clean pair of hands, or poor play out, chance for Spurs.
Kulusevski finds Son, edge of the box, he's overrun it.
Wrong way, should have been reversed. Kulusevski should have found Solanke, and Son's clipped the heel of Twanzebe there. Ipswich will be happy. That's what I'm saying, Nick. That's what Spurs, I think, have almost got to lure Ipswich in to believe that they can actually build and play a few passes out from the back with their goalkeeper and defender, and they just play the wrong one, exactly like what happened there. When Spurs pinched it, there was space, and Kulusevski unfortunately just misplaced the pass at a very key moment.
Muric is going to clear with this, I think it was actually a foul on Twanzebe as he got that away from Son, which is why the ball's been placed there, and it's cleared over the halfway line.
Handball.
Is that a handball? Yes, it is, and it's a free kick to Tottenham just inside their own half of the field. And there's a little bit of urgency about Tottenham at the moment. They've been so strong at home, as Xavi Bird was mentioning right at the top of our programme. Their last home defeat was on the 15th of September against Arsenal in what was a rather chastening afternoon, and since then they've been pretty resolute as that's played out by Vicario to Bentancur, who's fouled by Delap, who hurtles towards the keeper.
I'm not sure. Aggressive from Delap. Sometimes you get the benefit of the doubt with those challenges, but Ipswich a couple of players out of position. Spurs push and try and exploit it.
Porro down the right into Ipswich territory. He's got 4 ahead of him. The thing is, if Spurs keep doing that, the referee might eventually let one of those challenges go, and then Spurs will be in real trouble. Son and Udogie almost collide with each other on the left. Fed in field for Solanke, who seems to have shrugged that off, that injury problem that he had. He's done well to flick that over Kajus. He might send Son through. No, it goes away from him and out of play. Well, that's quite athletic by Dominic Solanke, which was positive from a Tottenham Hotspur and England perspective. With the score at 1-0 to Ipswich, there aren't too many Tottenham fans enjoying their afternoon here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, with just over 5 minutes of normal time remaining in the first half. You're listening to BBC Radio London. Nick Godwin and Bradley Allen at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where Spurs trail 1-0. Xavi Bird is guiding our programme today, and he'll take you through half-time, catching up with everything else that's going on. It's a busy day in London football in all its forms, as Burgess hacks this forward, headed away by Udogie towards the centre circle. Kulusevski tries to roll Kajuste, but
Nick,
too strong.
He's produced one of them performances, Kajuste, where you're looking at him and you go, wow,
where they got him from?
Where has this guy come from? He has been spectacular. Been an absolute brute at the middle of midfield, and he's probably already covered 12.5k on the pitch already.
Well, the answer to your question,
my goodness,
is Napoli.
He's won every challenge. He ain't give the ball away.
Well, you're going to need players like that.
Found a £100 million player just on this 41 minutes alone. He has been outstanding.
Here come Ipswich down the left. Delap, early cross, cleared by Dragusin, only as far as Hutchinson. On the edge of the Tottenham box, draws a couple of players towards him, finds Morsiu, gets closed down, and Tottenham can counter, and Son may have to do this on his own, but Burgess to the rescue, comes across on halfway and guides it back to Muric. Yes, he's been absolutely excellent, Jens Kajuste. We've been discussing how to pronounce his name for most of the morning, not realising that we wouldn't be talking about how to pronounce his name by half-time. We'd be talking about what a splendid player he's been in this opening 45 minutes. But Tottenham will go back to that. How different this whole thing could have been had Brennan Johnson scored early on, because Ipswich, whose confidence is built on vibes alone, really. That's a poor clearance by Muric, and Sarr finds Son, and the cross goes between Johnson and Solanke. They cannot believe it. It bisected the air between the two of them, and the move breaks down. Hutchinson bursting forward. Bentancur tries the challenge. Bentancur doesn't make the challenge, and the pink shirts fly forward. It's with Davis, left edge of the penalty area, feeds it into the box. Now across it goes. It might be an own goal. It's in. Delap on the line. Has it come off Dragusin? I think the goal's going to stand. Liam Delap right on the line with Dragusin, who couldn't stop it from going in. Ipswich think they've doubled their lead with 3 minutes of the first half to go. It was chaos inside that 6-yard box. Delap and Dragusin fought for it on the line, and Liam Delap won the battle and puts Ipswich into a 2-0 lead towards the end of this first half. Tottenham 0, Ipswich 2. Ipswich haven't won a Premier League game for over 20 years.
Sweeping counter-attack. Great 1v1 from Hutchinson to keep his balance under the challenge of Field. The impressive Davis. Was Smodic offside? No, he wasn't, from the slip pass. Vicario, Dragusin couldn't keep it out, and Delap was within the frame of the post. He wasn't going to miss this one, and from 2 yards out he just rifled it into double Ipswich's advantage. Dreamland, the Ipswich fans down the A12 on the trains into the capital early this morning. They can't believe it. Are they on the cusp with their first Premier League win for what, 2 decades, Nick?
Last win in the Premier League, April 2002. Their last Premier League away win, February 2002 at Everton. Well, fatalistic Tottenham fans would have looked at this morning and gone, oh dear, they've got work to do. I mean, if anyone's capable of turning it around, it's Spurs, but they need a foundation, and they haven't got one at the moment because...
Well, they need something, Nick. You're right to go back to the Johnson chance. They had a good attacking moment when Muric, who's been excellent in this first half, poorly played out, and Spurs really on transition should have done better and at least give themselves the opportunity, but then they just had that lapse in concentration behind the ball. Ipswich still had a bit to do. Hutchinson did amazing. Davis, Smodics exploited the space, and Ipswich get a second.
Well, I'll try out those statistics again because they're relevant. Tottenham have come from behind to win 24 points at home in 2024. That's what Ange Postecoglou is going to have to cling to. And Ipswich have dropped 12 points from winning positions so far this season. They could be in line for 3 today as it stands, leading 2-0. Remarkable. And again, I mean, beating Aston Villa here a week ago, Bradley. Tottenham fans thinking, my goodness, this is exceptional. This is, we're beating one of the best teams. Aston Villa, one of the best teams in the land, no question.
Back in the mix.
Champions League, back in the mix. All the rest of what we talked about.
Outstanding second half performance here.
We talked about what a win could do today to lift them into the upper echelons of the league.
But it's almost, and Javi highlighted it before the game about how good Spurs have been at home, and we rarely see that here at this spectacular stadium and the home support. And with a side that's struggled upon their return, just the level, the standard, boy, they've done a job and they've put themselves in a brilliant position.
Well, I mentioned that Ipswich this has been given away again. It's a foul this time.
You're almost into that category of conversation, Nick. If Ipswich now lose this, they will definitely go down. Facts.
Oh, facts. It just adds to
it'd be done for their Premier League status. If they win this, wow, they've got a chance.
All bets are off, aren't they?
They give themselves a chance with obviously, key games to come at Portman Road.
A few Spurs fans have cleared off for refreshments at half-time, and I suppose you can't really blame them. Since the Johnson chance, after 3 minutes, Arminat Muric has been completely dominant in the Ipswich goal. He's got hold of everything, he's saved everything. At the other end, Spurs have looked a bit vulnerable. Don't forget, Darosh, Sami Smodic had the first chance after a minute. O'Shea hit the bar 7 minutes later. Then came the chances. We are playing, by the way, 4 minutes of added on time. There was a big delay after the first Ipswich goal when Dominic Solanke needed treatment. So 4 minutes, and we're now playing the second. That's a terrible pass by Johnson out of play on the far side for an Ipswich throw level with the edge of the penalty area. And Leif Davis is going to take this, and the Ipswich fans are loving it on the far side of the field, as you can well imagine. From a Spurs perspective, there is work to do. Again, I'll set up another of these statistics, Bradley. They don't mean much, but they illustrate kind of the way things have gone and why Ipswich need to be watchful. Tottenham's powers of recovery here are pretty legendary. They conceded the opening goal, Spurs, in 12 of 14 home league matches in 2024. Let's make that 13 of 15 now, with the first half of this game about to come to a close. So they do make life difficult for themselves, Spurs, but they do have big powers of recovery. That, I think, is what Spurs fans must home in on. And now there's a tangle between Delap and Romero.
Nothing in that, Nick. He's only coming together. They rolled over. We have some events here, but there's never wrestling at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but there was a bit of that, wasn't there?
I wondered where you were going with that, Bradley. I really did. Yes, they've had... Unless Romero or Delap were going to sing a song or play American football, would suggest those are the other primary things they put in this stadium on an annual basis, but the referee has told the pair of them, like warring children, to pack it in. We're back underway with the Spurs free kick. Tottenham trailing 2-0. We've still got a minute or so of this first half to go. Spurs need something to cling to at the end of this first half, and they have a free kick just outside the centre circle. Solanke fouled, and this, I think, will be the last action by Kajista. Honestly, what a player. What's he doing on loan from Napoli? Can't imagine someone like him would not be useful in Serie A. It's Anthony, isn't it Conte at Napoli
for
these days?
an Antonio Conte, especially,
Thought he'd love a midfielder like that, booting a few people. What can Porro do from this set piece? It's very central, it's 40 yards out, and it's lifted into the penalty area, and Romero was the closest to it. He goes down looking for a free kick, and he's clutching his calf. The referee wags a finger at Christian Romero. Oh, he is hobbling. It's the last thing Spurs need to lose another defender. But it's going to be a goal kick, and that'll be half time.
Just armed off the ball. Good defending now from Ipswich. Look at his Burgess, done his job. And that'll be it, Nick, I think.
I think so. A fascinating half of football, which could have been 3-3, but will end as the half-time whistle goes. 2-0 to Ipswich Town, who last won a Premier League game in April of 2002. Since then they spent 2 decades languishing in the Championship and League One and haven't won a game all this season either. And yet they come off the pitch at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium leading by 2-0. Sammy Smodic's bicycle kick just after the half hour, and Liam Delap's bundled effort from a Smodic cross on the line means Ipswich go in the lead. Tottenham will look back to that big opportunity for Brennan Johnson after just 3 minutes in front of goal between the sticks from a floated Heung-min Son cross, and he somehow conspired to fail to hit the target. Tottenham haven't lost at home since that 1-0 defeat by Arsenal on the 15th of September, but the game is afoot at half-time. Spurs 0, Ipswich 2.
BBC Radio London,
The home of London football.
Thank you very much, Nick. And Bradley Allen alongside you watching that. Bradley, and you've got to say, from a hugely concerning point of view from Tottenham, they've really merited that, Ipswich, haven't they?
They certainly have. Ipswich, started brightly. They forced a couple of early chances from open play and set plays. They looked a threat, and then they had a spell where I thought they were organised in number and discipline behind the ball. And Spurs, apart from the Johnson chance from close range on the volley from Son's cross, didn't really create any clear-cut opportunities. Some crosses were going into the box. They were no more than half efforts, and shots from maybe a Solanke. But in open play, Spurs' better moments have almost come when Ipswich have actually opened the pitch up and built up and just made the wrong decision in possession. Spurs didn't punish or capitalise on that, and then a few minutes before half-time with that breakout, clever play from Hutchinson, Davis and Smodics set up that close range effort for Delap. The Ipswich fans in dreamland. Could Ipswich now push on and earn themselves 3 priceless Premier League points in their first win upon return to this level of football?
Yeah, not one in the Premier League for 22 years, as Nick was saying, and 2-0 up, in a really good position to do that. But the positives for Spurs is that, you were mentioning it throughout commentary, 24 points they've picked up from losing positions in this calendar year. No Premier League team has come close to anywhere near that. I think Manchester City is the next on 14. There's work to do for them, and they will also know that the last time Ipswich were in London, they went 2-0 up at Brentford and lost that game. Yeah. So history might be on their side in that way. What does Ange Postecoglou need to tell them at half-time?
Unfortunately, with some injury problems that Spurs have, with Richarlison out for time, Mikey Moore with the virus, there's not a huge amount of attacking options. Maybe young Will Lancashire could come on, having scored midweek in the Europa League. You've got Werner as well, who appears to be okay with his groin knock. So there's one or two, but not a load. He changed the midfield here last week, and Sarr's energy brought a difference in the second half. Whether Maddison's creativity could be a key, finding some pockets of space within the compact framework of Ipswich's midfield and defence, and a little slip pass or a little bit of magic, or take a player on, an assist. maybe that will be considered. I think Maddison will come on maybe 10, 15 minutes into the second and quite quickly.
Bradley, thank you very much for that. So half-time here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham with work to do. Tottenham Hotspur 0, Ipswich Town 2 is the scoreline. Elsewhere in the Premier League, it is Manchester United 2, Leicester City 0 at half-time. Bruno Fernandes and a Victor Christensen own goal. The score is for Manchester United. Nottingham Forest are beating Newcastle United by a goal to 0. That's not really a surprise anymore, is it? They seem to just win every single game, particularly at home. Murillo is the sole goal scorer in that game for Nottingham Forest. In the WSL, Chelsea have beaten Liverpool to maintain that perfect record at the top of the table. And at Gander Green Lane, it's bad news for us here, but good news for Crystal Palace, Emily Herbert.
It is, and it was that shot from India Paige Riley just a minute into the match that has given Crystal Palace a 1-0 lead at half-time. Her first of the season, set up beautifully by Verdon on the right wing, dragged the defenders to her, leaving Riley unmarked in the box, swung it infield, and all she had to do was beat the keeper. It levelled out after that, very cagey in midfield, but Palace was still on top, 5 shots to 2 for the Eagles, and if they keep this lead, it'll be a crucial 3 points in their survival this year. Half-time, Crystal Palace 1, Everton 0.
Thank you very much, Emily. West Ham against Leicester City in the WSL kicks off in around about 5 minutes' time. Well, let's have a look ahead to the big game at 4:30 in the Premier League. Chelsea against Arsenal. Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca has warned Arsenal his team won't be rolling over like they did in their last meeting, which ended in a 5-0 humiliation for Mauricio Pochettino when he was Chelsea manager back then. Chelsea haven't beaten the Gunners in the league at Stamford Bridge in any of their last 5 attempts. August 2018 was the last time. Marcus Alonso scored the winner in a 3-2 victory for the Blues. Their current manager, Maresca, says a home victory is well overdue.
For sure I would like to win this kind of game, but since we start, I always said the same, that for sure I analyze the result, but first of all I analyze the performance. Hopefully we can win Sunday, we can win that kind of game, but also I think at the end it's in this competition in the Premier League, it's important and it's difficult to win against any team. For sure, if I can decide, I would like to win against Arsenal on Sunday, no doubt. But also I think Liverpool away, the performance was very good. We didn't deserve to lose, even City. The good thing is that we are there. We are there, and you cannot see big difference when we play this kind of game, and this is the most important thing. For sure, I don't have doubt if it's Sunday or it's next game, but for sure we're going to be there, win this kind of game, no doubt.
Meanwhile, Arsenal are looking to avoid going 4 games without a win in the Premier League, but boss Mikel Arteta says he still has belief that his team can get back on track.
Well, obviously when you don't win, affects the mood, affects the energy, but the positive thing that there is nobody impossible in this room or outside that wants to win more than I do, and that these guys in the dressing room wants to do. It is impossible. So that desire today, I had a meeting with them about it, and I can sense it straight away. And what I sense as well is a big belief that how good we are as a team. And again, what we did in Milan, watching it back twice, I haven't seen my team doing that against them, but you need to take that into a winning football match, because at the end is the only thing that anybody is going to judge, know how superior you were to the opponent, you outrun the opponent, you outperform the opponent in every single way. It's about, they scored a goal, you didn't, we have a problem. And the problem has to be resolved by scoring more goals than the opponent, that's it.
That's Mikel Arteta. Well, Harry Symeou is at Stamford Bridge for us this afternoon. First and foremost, Harry, the most important question is obviously, have you sampled the canteen there yet?
I have, Xavi, I have. I had to scoff it down real quick though, just to make sure I was ready to speak to you about this huge game that's coming up at 4:30. I'll give it a 7 out of 10, around about the same as I'd give Chelsea's season right now, I think.
Okay, well, very good, very good. And I suppose we'll get on to Arsenal, of course, very shortly, but I suppose a huge factor in this game is going to be about the fitness of Cole Palmer this afternoon and how much of an impact that could have today.
Yeah, absolutely. He has been spotted here. He has arrived at Stamford Bridge. He did turn up with the rest of the players, so I think the Chelsea fans are quite hopeful that he's going to play some part and some role in this game. We're not sure whether or not he's ready to start. Obviously the team news is around about a quarter of an hour away, but yeah, that's going to be massive for them. They'll be hoping that Jadon Sancho will be available as well, just because he gives them another option off of the bench. It's a really interesting game, this, because it feels like it's really difficult to predict, to try and figure out how it's going to develop, because you just don't know who's fit for both sides. But yeah, Cole Palmer is here, and Chelsea fans will be hoping he's ready.
And I suppose from a Chelsea point of view, this is another opportunity. As you say, they maybe slightly performed better than many people would have anticipated at the beginning of the season, Chelsea. When every game now, it's another sort of chance to make a statement, and this could be a real statement for them if they get 3 points today.
Absolutely, Xavi. They've had a good start to the season. It's been a solid start. There's been signs of the fact that they're still quite a young side and inexperienced side in a lot of areas, but there's no doubt that Enzo Maresca's come in. He's embedded a style. Everybody's on board with it. I remember in the summer, all the talk was around the number of players that he had in the squad, and the question was, how is he going to keep everybody happy? Well, he hasn't tried to. He's simply said, this is my group that I want to work with, and everybody else has been pushed to one side. Many of them left the club, but you can see that there's a togetherness about this Chelsea side. They've got depth as well, which is a real positive thing, and they've had a really good start to the season. But if I were them right now, Xavi, I'd be looking at it and thinking, just enjoy today. Go out there and make the most of the occasion. London derby against one of the title challengers at home, but there's no real pressure on Chelsea. This is an occasion where they can test themselves rather than one where they have to sort of really be stressed about the result and the outcome. If the performance is there, I think Maresca, even quietly, will be quite satisfied.
Well, you mentioned Arsenal and the fact that they're title contenders. If they lose today, they'll be 10 points. Well, they'll remain 10 points. They're already 10 points adrift of Liverpool at the top of the table. Would that mean that their title hopes are over, do you think? Or is it too early?
I was probably being too kind in what I said just a few seconds ago. I think actually right now, if I was to sort of give you my opinion on where I think Arsenal are in the title race, I think at the minute they're out of it. And I think that it's on them now to go on some sort of run to string some results together, and if they can, then they could end up back in the race. They've got the capacity to do it. We've seen them do it last season. They went through a difficult period and they dragged themselves back out of it. But at this moment in time, Xavi, they're out of it. That's just how far off the pace they are at the moment.
What is it that you think has been missing from Arsenal? Is it as simple as injuries and suspensions and all these red cards, the unnecessary red cards? Are those the reasons why they're adrift, or is there something that's missing? Because as you mentioned, they went through a similar sort of run around about this time last year as well.
Yeah, I do think this time it's a little bit more explainable, if that makes sense. You look at sort of the reasons why they are where they are. They've had key injuries, suspensions, a really rough run of fixtures in comparison to the teams that they're competing with. They're coming here today. They've been to Spurs, they've been to Villa, they've been to City, they've been to Newcastle. So all of those things combined, I think it's fair that Arsenal are sort of a little bit off the pace. They're a little bit further off than they would have liked. There's no doubt about that. But I think there's been a lack of a creative spark in the absence of some of those key players, and I don't think Mikel Arteta's found a way of generating that creativity through other players, and that's been a big talking point and a big debate. Mikel Merino's come into the side. Does he offer what Arsenal were missing at that point? Ethan Nwaneri's done brilliantly whenever he's had the opportunity, but I think a lot would argue that he probably should have had more. So I think the creativity thing is the big issue, but I expected Arsenal to be a little bit off the pace at this stage, just given the fixtures. Factor in the injuries, the suspensions, and they are where they are.
One of those players, you're talking about creativity, Martin Odegaard is the main player, and it's becoming increasingly game by game more obvious that he's the most important creative player in that team. He came on for 3 minutes in Milan on Wednesday. Do you expect him to start today, or will he feature at all?
I think if he's fit enough, if the club deem him fit enough, he will start. I think Mikel Arteta, despite the things he's been saying in the media, where obviously he's trying to keep spirits up, he's trying to keep the fans on side, I think he knows that his team are in desperate need of a lift. And even if he's only got 60 minutes in the tank, I think that it's worth throwing him in from the beginning. He knows now, I think, looking at Ethan Nwaneri again in Milan, where he came off the bench and looked really lively, that he's got somebody that Odegaard can share the minutes with. So I think if he's even close to sort of, he's not going to be 100%, he's been out for 2 months, but if he's at 70-75%, and Odegaard is generally a very fit player, we saw him when he came to the club, he hadn't played half a season for Real Madrid, and he came in and he was up to speed straight away. So I think if there's a chance that he's fit enough, then I think Arteta will roll the dice on that.
Harry, thank you very much for that. We will be getting team news from you in around about 10 minutes or so at Stamford Bridge, when we will be back into second half commentary here of Tottenham against Ipswich, where at half time Tottenham are 2-0 down. Goals from Sammy Schmodix and then from Liam Delap have put the Tractor Boys in dreamland at half time here at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The Spurs players have come out already. Ipswich are yet to make their move onto the pitch, but Bradley Allen's alongside me, and I just wanted to ask you about, I hadn't quite brought up that Sammy Schmodix goal. What a finish that was.
Terrific goal. You know, he's a player that I watched many years ago when he was a youngster at Colchester, and one that catches your eye. We talk about just in this game for Ipswich and where he's come from and how impressive he's been, but Schmodix was very unfortunate. He suffered an ACL injury and he went to Bristol City, and it took him a while to recover. He really has had to work hard off the pitch, in the gym, strength, building himself up. He found some terrific consistency, assists and a lot of goals for Blackburn last season, their best player by a country mile. He got signed. It took a while to get the deal over the line for Ipswich at the back end of the transfer window, but he showed his quality for that goal and the assist for the second for Delap.
Well, Ipswich are back out 45 minutes to decide whether Tottenham can get back into this game. They've won 24 points from losing positions this calendar year. Nobody has won more. We'll bring you second half commentary. Bradley Allen is alongside Nick Godwin.
Thank you very much, Xavi. Yeah, the importance of this 45 minutes just keeps getting ratcheted up for both these sets of players. Ipswich haven't won a Premier League game for over 2 decades, and they lead 2-0. If Spurs do lose this game and stay on 16 points, and if Chelsea or Arsenal win at 4:30, they'll go on to 21 points and they'll be in 4th. So you'll be looking at a 5-point gap already between Spurs and 4th place, which, again, Spurs need to respond in this second half.
Liverpool on 28, Man City next up for Spurs after the international break.
Better win a cup, Brad. Game's back underway, no changes at half time. The significance, I think, is taken actually, the collective wisdom of the press box during half time to kind of assess just how big this half is.
First action, long ball from Ipswich, and he just barged into Romero, and he's got a yellow card. He's furious.
Yeah, that's unhelpful.
Man City youngster, but Spurs free kick. They've got to find the tempo, the momentum, the intensity here, and really get the crowd behind them, because surprisingly they've been a little bit quiet as this game has wore on, Nick. I know we're just starting the second, but they really need to be lifted as well.
Spurs are playing out rather tentatively from the back, and a long ball forward by Romero looks for Solanke. Kulusevski collects, but Kajus goes in and wins the ball, and it goes out for an Ipswich throw on this near side of the field. Vicario in goal for Spurs. Porro, Romero, Dragusin and Udogie at the back in midfield. Bentancur and Sarr, with Son, Kulusevski and Johnson behind Solanke. Muric in goal for Ipswich. A back three of Tuanzebe, O'Shea and Burgess in midfield. Johnson, Morsey, Kajuste and Davis, and Hutchinson and Schmodix with Delap with the most advanced player. Free kick Ipswich on the halfway line, fouled by Bentancur. On the bench for Spurs, Forster, Bissouma, Maddison, Gray, Bergvall, Werner, Spence, Davies and Lancashire. And for Ipswich, Walton, Harry Clark, Wolfenden, Burns, Chaplin, Townsend, Luongo, Hurst and Jack Clark. We are back underway, and Ipswich leads Spurs by 2-0.
Yeah, Kieran McKenna's furious with the fourth official. You know, Delap's challenge was silly seconds into this second half. Bentancur was a bit aggressive centre field on Hutchinson, and he wanted, you know, the Spurs midfielder to get a yellow. He's on the ball now, and Spurs are trying to counter. Bit of space, can they exploit it?
Bentancur lifts this forward, and bursting through the middle is Johnson. Gets delayed, edge of the box, has to turn away from traffic. Offloads to Sarr, 25 yards from goal. Now Son. The next goal's going to be absolutely crucial. Son shoots! Brilliant save by Muric. Touched over the top. That was the big chance Spurs wanted early on, but Aronat Muric to the rescue.
Well, he's unbeatable at the moment. Spurs are taking a short corner. I'll come back to you.
And here is Kulusevski, sinks in across towards the far post, hook back towards goal. Johnson can't get hold of it. Stretched to get on the end of Dragusin's header back across goal, and it stays out. It's another corner. a start.
Spurs are cranking it up here.
Another corner played short. Here's Porro, edge of the box. Put in by Davis to put it out for yet another Spurs corner. They've earned 3 corners in the space of about 45 seconds. The South Stand starting to make some noise. Here's Porro's delivery into the box. It bounces off, leads in. I think it came off Solanke last.
It'll be checked, Nick.
They'll sprint back to the halfway line. Spurs think they pulled one back. There's a big shout for handball from the Ipswich defenders, but at the moment Tottenham have pulled one back. 3 minutes into the second half, Spurs 1, Ipswich 2, but a VAR check on the way.
Definitely be checked. He sort of got to the flick on Solanke. He fell and he's kicked the ball onto his arm. Couldn't do nothing about it, Nick, but because it struck his arm, this is a really difficult decision for Stockley Park, for the referee to be informed here.
Well, they're checking it now.
He has gone in off his arm. There's no doubt about that, Nick.
Are they going to call Darren England over to look at it, or will he accept the word from Stockley Park? He's not looking. He's going to rule it out. Handball.
It's really harsh, I think, but it did hit Solanke's arm. He kicked it onto his own arm, didn't he?
Yeah, it came off his leg onto his arm into the net. Goodness me, what a start of the second half, Bradley.
Yeah,
3 corners.
We're going to have some second half here, Nick.
This could be lively. It's going to get the chance to see it again. They're going to show it on the big screen, and they're going to pause it at the moment where it strikes his arm.
You've got to give that, but Solanke can't get his arm out the way, Nick, can he? You have to give that. It probably is the right decision, but his volley, he's not going to want to volley the ball onto his arm, Nick. He was trying to volley the ball on target.
Yeah, no, none of it's intentional, but that doesn't matter these days, does it?
No, it doesn't.
So it's still 2-0.
Do you like VAR now, Nick?
No, I'm very dubious. Very dubious. Bradley, my principles go far above any spurious little tweaks.
I just had to get that in there, Nick.
Shocking. Honestly.
Sorry.
Hey, Paul. I think were Kieran McKenna to be sitting up with us here, he may point to a few other VARs that have not gone Ipswich's way in recent weeks. That will not make Spurs fans feel any better, and these things do not, quote unquote, balance themselves out. That's just hearsay. Here comes Spurs again, though. They've had an electric start to this second half. Son plays it forward. Here's Solanke, turns and gets it out wide to the left-hand side, and a darting run by Udogie to the edge of the box. Ipswich with everybody back behind the ball. Given to Romero. Moves in field, 30 yards from goal. It cannons off an Ipswich shirt. Breaks to Johnson. Will Udogie get there first? He will. Sarr rather on that side. Then given to Son, edge of the penalty area. 3 Ipswich players ahead of him. Has to offload to Bentancur. He thinks about shooting. Neat bit of footwork to release Son down the left into the penalty area. Son goes one way then the other and earns another corner to Spurs. They are desperate for a foothold in this game.
Well, this is where they need to score. You know, from a time point of view, so then it is enough maybe to get a second and tie the game up, but within the next sort of 4 or 5 minutes it would leave Spurs a plenty of time to mount further pressure and momentum.
Here's the corner, swung in, Muric claims again, 6 yards out. He's caught so many of these set pieces and chances for Spurs in the game so far, but to be fair to Tottenham, they're having a proper go. Muric is not in any hurry. This is going down badly, and he's going to hurl it out for Smodic, the first goal scorer for Ipswich. Then sent downfield. Delap can't get hold of it, and it goes out on the near side for a throw. Porro's going to take it, and Muric has certainly been in the thick of things. That wonderful fingertip save just before the goal went in from Son, and then VAR with the Solanke handball. Tottenham are relentlessly attacking at the moment. Tuanzebe is the player holding him up into Sarr. Kulusevski, 30 yards from goal, rolled forward. He eludes Sarr as he dashed into the penalty area, and it goes through to Muric. I mean,
he needs to be careful, Muric, here, doesn't he, on the restart?
Yeah, well, he's going to get booked in a minute.
He will. Taking an age.
There's a little dance, isn't it? He wastes a little time, then he gets booked, then he gets on with it. Darren England will not have missed the fact that Muric is taking ages over these. Tottenham trail 2-0 here on BBC Radio London. And there's an equaliser for Newcastle at Nottingham Forest in the second half of that 2 o'clock kickoff. Alexander Isak with the goal. Here, Tottenham trail 2-0. Son's just been denied by a brilliant fingertip stop by Muric. And oh yes, we've had a missive from the VAR people. They put these things on Twitter. The VAR deemed that Solanke accidentally handled the ball immediately before the goal and recommended that the goal was disallowed. Interestingly, Darren England didn't go over and look at the monitor. It was just more clear cut than that. That's a good thing because it would have added further delay. Here's Kulusevski on the right, plays it in for Porro, who just overruns it, and it's cleared away from danger by Burgess. Here's Smodic. I suppose from an Ipswich perspective, just how defensive do you go, Bradley, as well? Because
that's the thing.
Oh, they're overplaying at the back again, Ipswich here, and Burgess is cleared.
I think it's the pressure. I'd be really interested to see this Ipswich side, the inexperience at Premier League level, if they conceded a goal and just the crowd, the stadium and the pressure, and how would they cope with that, Nick?
Yeah,
there's the decision up on the screen. Thank you.
They put the missive on the screen as well that we just read out to you, so I'm sure not too many Spurs fans are going to be massively interested in reading the bits and pieces, but there you go. It's going to be a free kick on the halfway line to Spurs. Just a reminder, earlier on today it finished Liverpool 0, Chelsea 3 in the WSL. And we'll keep you posted on how...
I'm just bemused by that description, Nick.
What, because he's accidental?
He's not kicked the ball onto his arm for it to go into the goal.
It's deflected off his arm.
It's deflected off his arm. His half-volleyed effort was... The intention was for him to...
Yeah, I mean, and
that to go into the net, not because it's deviated off his arm from the subsequent half volley.
No, it's a new rule.
Hey, it's gone, and
yeah, Spurs have got it. They can't dwell on it. Here's Hutchinson at the other end of the field. Oh, he's gone past Bentancur, finds Davis inside the penalty area. Here's the cross, almost finds Hutchinson again, defended at the very last minute by Bentancur helping out. This is Ipswich's first real spell at the start of the second half.
Still look a threat, don't they, with the other attack. The impressive Davis pushing forward. He's got a super left foot when he gets in those shooting positions. The Spurs are being pushed back here, just where Ipswich want it.
Well, the coach-off is fascinatingly poised, isn't it, Bradley? We talked about that all through the afternoon. All these coaches knowing each other so well. And here's the throw-in, which Kajuste is going to take into the edge of the 6-yard box, flicked on towards the far post. Johnson tries to get hold of it, so does Hutchinson. Neither of them can. Some will try and take the ball away from danger. It's back in the Spurs box and gathered by Vicario, bowls it out to a doggy. Here comes Spurs once again, trailing 2-0 but on the attack. Space here for Solanke. He's got 4 players ahead of him. He's going to let fly himself, and it sails over the top. Muric was not bothered at all by that as it sailed over. We've now got 2 balls on the pitch. Needs to be a bit better than that from Dominic Solanke, I think it's fair to say.
It was a speculative effort. Maybe he needed the option. Porro Johnson to the right hand side to be attacking wider positions. He opted for a long range shot and leaning back, dips up and over the crossbar.
Now 4:30 kickoff at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea-Arsenal, the team news from Harry Symeou.
The big news is that Cole Palmer starts for Chelsea. Fofana partners Colwill at the back. Jackson leads the line and Caicedo captains the side. As for Arsenal, big boost. Odegaard and Rice both start. Out go Marino and Trossard. Havertz starts up front despite being a doubt with a nasty cut to the head. Kickoff is at 4:30. Chelsea versus Arsenal.
Thank you very much, Harry. It's still 2-0 to Ipswich. Ipswich here, and Liam Delap is causing all sorts of problems again, and he's won it, and he's danced his way past 4 players. Hutchinson shoots wide. Brilliant from Delap. Spurs couldn't get near him.
Brilliant. Powerful, aggressive. He's been quite clever here. He's took a knock in the process. Spurs had to, almost going back to a wrestling analogy, triple team him, didn't they, to stop him, and they couldn't.
Because he got to that point where he was just in the box, and they all knew. But he was outside the box actually at that point. He just waltzed away from them. For a big lad, he's very nimble. Now here's Solanke, and he's released Johnson, and here comes Spurs at the other end, and Son is waiting for this, but Muric anticipates, grabs it before he can pick out Son.
He tried to the early cross. Son had stole a march on Twanzebe coming in from the other side. That's the pattern, winger to winger. But who was ready? Muric was ready for that. He was out. He was like a sweeper keeper on the penalty spot and catch Johnson's delivery.
He was on his way, and it wasn't even a desperate reach. He sort of pouched it. Goodness me, there's all sorts going on out there. Spurs have won this back inside their own half.
Well, knowing the manoeuvres.
Yep, you're absolutely right. At the moment, this coach-off's only going one way, but here comes Spurs again. Solanke's ball is easy for Muric to gather. No chance for Son there. There's a host of Spurs and Ipswich players warming up. Down to our left, Timo Werner, Maddison. That's Archie Gray down there, and he's Basuma. So Spurs might think about a switch. But they're coming forward again with Son through the middle of the field. Challenged by Morsey, was good enough. Comes back out to Kulusevski on the right. Kulusevski sets it for Porro, whose cross is deflected behind. Now there's a shout for handball against Davis. I think it was outside the box.
Yeah, it was outside. It was no more than the free kick. Right side, yard out from the penalty box. Let's just have a look. He's whacked it at him, really. He did turn his back on the ball, but he had his elbow folded, being checked.
Having a look at it. He's turned away, and
it's a free kick, no more than that. It's not a penalty.
Well, is it inside or outside now?
His left foot is on the line.
Now they're just watching how close to the edge of the box Davis is, and the crowd have been told about it. While the handball might have been inside, is he saying? Well, he's still saying wait.
No handball.
They decided not to give a penalty.
You love VAR, Nick, don't you?
That's going to say. I'm learning more about the handball rule by the day. Darren England's gone in to sort out a bit of nonsense inside the 6-yard box. Spurs need a foothold in this second half. VAR has intervened twice. It's still 2-0 to Ipswich. Here's Porro. It's going to be set for Kulusevski on the edge of the D. Offloads to Son, who drives it over. Son wants a corner, he won't get one. Muric was just shepherding it over the top. And now there's going to be more time wasted by Ipswich.
We're going to have plenty of this.
Ref's going to clamp down on this, really. Or there's an Ipswich player who's gone down injured.
Hutchinson.
I bet he's fine.
Bit of games and shit.
Just an observation.
The dark arts. Yeah. Angie's just mentioned that to the fourth official.
I think they will try and.
I said about the NFL, NBA. They like a group huddle and coming for a sip of their drink and speaking to the technical backup staff, Ipswich. All these innovative modern ideas that Kieran McCann has brought in.
Let's take this opportunity to go back to Gander Green Lane, shall we? Crystal Palace women against Everton women. Emily Herbert.
Yes, Crystal Palace 1, Everton 0 still. Palace with a few more opportunities. The goal scorer Riley with another chance but sends it well wide. A couple of subs for the Eagles too. The energetic 19-year-old Abby Larkin is on, bringing her pace on that right flank, which is needed really in this game. It's gone a little bit flat, but 64 minutes on the clock. It's still Crystal Palace 1, Everton 0.
Earlier on today, Chelsea women beat Liverpool by 3 goals to 0. They're about halfway through the first half in the game between West Ham women and Leicester women at Dagenham and Redbridge's ground. That one's 0-0. And don't forget the London Women's Football Show from 6 o'clock on Tuesday evening here on BBC Radio London. If you can't catch it then, you can download it and listen to it at your leisure from a bit later on on Tuesday. But 6 o'clock on Tuesday evening is the time for that programme, reviewing the whole weekend in the WSL and beyond. Now, Muric has got to get on with this, and eventually he does. I think Hutchinson's going to come back on, and Romero wins the header for Tottenham. Lifted back forward for Ipswich, looking for Delap, but it rolls away and out of play, and it's going to be a throw. Porro is going to take on this near side of the field. 18 second half minutes gone. And the Spurs fans, who were very motivated by the fast start Spurs made to this second period, have gone a little quieter. As Bradley Allen said, they had to score in that period just to really set things up. They still could, though. Tottenham's powers of recovery are very impressive. Here's Udogie, low cross, goes behind Solanke, and then Smodic clears.
Brilliant pass from Smodic, but Spurs should have been there. It was a pretty good cross.
Delap goes down and wins a free kick.
Top play from
good centre forward play.
Delap. Just what Ipswich would have wanted.
Just wears the clock down, just tires out those Tottenham legs. And I wonder if we're going to see one of those changes for Spurs. Werner's still warming up. I think he's being called upon, actually.
Yeah.
He's wearing a snood. I mean, it's not that cold.
I think it's time as well, potentially, for Maddison to be considered.
These are critical.
He did well
moments.
last week, late on against Aston Villa, and scored a wonderful free kick, and certainly come on with the bit between his teeth. Prove a bit of a point.
Morsey lifts this free kick to the edge of the box. O'Shea wins the header. It drops to Hutchison, corner of the penalty area. Back to Morsey, sends in. O'Shea's unmarked, and he's looped this up in the air, and Vicario claims before Delap can get there. Spurs still looking a little bit iffy at the back as Sarr breaks forward, shrugs off the attentions of Johnson, and gets fouled in the end.
Yeah, there's going to be plenty more of that, because Ipswich will, as they fatigue. I think that's what Kieran McKenna and his coaching staff may well have to consider. Some fresh legs, but then these subs and the impact that they have coming onto the field of play.
That's a yellow card for Ben Johnson, and here comes the change for Spurs. And Pape Sarr is being sacrificed to Timo Werner, so the urgency. Tottenham are throwing an extra attacking player on. Werner, who's been suffering from an injury for a little while, comes on instead of Sarr. And are they going to go two up top with Solanke and Son? Or?
Yeah, it's a 4-2-4 for Spurs, isn't it? Werner, Son, Solanke and Johnson pushing the Ipswich defence back. Bentancur and Kulusevski will sort of play and support from midfield. Udogie and Porro as well will advance.
Tottenham have gone into something or bust mode with four up front. They need to score not one, not two, preferably 3 goals in the remaining period of this contest. His last outing in the league was against Palace, Werner. But here's Kulusevski away down the right hand side for Tottenham. He's got 2 around him. He's burst into the box to the touchline. Here's the cross, headed away by O'Shea at the near post. Porro's won this back, given to Son just inside the Ipswich box. Loads of bodies in the way. Comes to Udogie. Werner's first touch gets caught in possession. He's not sharp enough, and Ipswich are off and running. Although I think Delap put that out of play.
Yeah, he should have done better, Delap. Not the best of first touches from Werner, and he's gone down as well.
Is that
well? But the referee's Spurs are not allowing the stoppage for treatment. Kieran McKenna's going to have to change. I think he's either got cramp or got a calf pull. Delap.
Hurst available, or Chaplin. He sat down, Delap, on the halfway line. And here's Udogie. Apparently he's got a cut on his leg, which might be part of the problem. Here's Werner's cross. Oh, Muric has missed this one, and so has everybody else.
Oh, he just took his eye off the ball, Johnson. I don't think it was going to come through to him. Muric, Burgess trying to deal with the in-swinging cross from Werner.
Yeah, Delap sat down again. There are bits of what may well be Delap's sock inside the centre circle. We're just seeing the chance again. That's come off It's come off Burgess, you know.
Yeah.
I think that should be a corner. Burgess flicked it away from Muric, who was coming to get it. Is the ref going to change his mind? No, he's going to give a goal kick, and there's going to be a change here for Ipswich. It's like a double change, in fact.
Really clever, isn't it, from Kieran McKenna? It's so frustrating. It's Arteta-esque, isn't it?
Well, who else did he manage with? Remind me, the gentleman at Man United. I can't remember his name.
Jose.
Yeah, he might have learned a few things.
Off the master there to get over the line and win a game.
Changes in the offing. Ipswich defending, still leading by 2-0. We're 3/4 of the way through this game on BBC Radio London, and Tottenham are desperate for a foothold. They thought they got it with Solanke, but VAR ruled it out the handball. George Hurst is going to come on for Delap. I think, no, Delap's still on the field actually. He can't really move properly. Here's Porro's cross, and it's headed behind by O'Shea for Ipswich. It's yet another Tottenham corner in front of the South Stand. Porro's going to take it.
Jack Clark as well, I think, for the Spurs Ipswich player.
Yeah, we're going to see George
walking around here.
Clark.
He's one of the Spurs subs. Porro corner.
Whipped out towards a header and a goal from Bentancur. Free header for Spurs. Flies into the net. They're in a desperate hurry to get it back to the halfway line. Spurs alive and kicking with 22 minutes to go. There's a long way back, but Ipswich have been pegged back, and it's Tottenham 1, Ipswich 2.
You know what was fascinating there, Nick? He didn't make the change for the corner, Kieran McKenna, but he knows man Bentancur is, the laps, and he didn't mark him. It's a thumping header, just what Spurs need. We're nearly 70 minutes, the noise is up. We're going to have some Premier League finish once again. Stay with us, guys.
Well, we mentioned Tottenham's powers of recovery, and they might be on display again. Here's the change. Delap is done, and George Hurst is coming on, and Smodic is also coming off to be replaced by Jack Clark, who made a few cup appearances for Spurs during his spell between 2019 and 2022. Well, what a game we've got on our hands now. Clark wearing 47. Ipswich trying to respond. It's been picked up by Morsey, edge of the D. He's dispossessed by Udogie, and Porro will lift this clear. And Solanke, arms pumping, races after it. Burgess clears. But listen to the noise inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Yeah. This was what happened second half against Aston Villa. Spurs was such a powerful force, and they took some stopping.
Kulusevski down the right. They pulled one back. Porro given to Kulusevski. Drives in field. A lot of white shirts ahead of him. Comes back to Bentancur. Ipswich stuck in their own third. Got a lot of defensive work to do if they're to hang on. Werner, low cross, looking for Johnson, headed behind by O'Shea. Another corner, they scored from the last one.
Yeah, he's made some brilliant near post headers and stops. O'Shea, when it's been whipped in, Porro now can put this one in another key position. No, he's took it short.
To Son, corner of the box, wants to shoot over the top. He's had a few of those, Son. One has forced a good save from Muric, but not that one. And there's been a goal in the game at Gander Green Lane between Crystal Palace and Everton. Emily Herbert.
And it's a level up for Everton as Hayashi has headed it into the back of the net behind her. An in-swinging corner kick. The Palace goalkeeper Yanez dived for it, but it's too high for her to reach. Palace with some work to do now. Really disappointing for the Eagles. It's Palace 1, Everton 1.
Joe Linton has put Newcastle in front at Nottingham Forest in another 2 o'clock kickoff in the Premier League. As Clark is dispossessed, his first touch since coming on against his former club. Ball down the right for Kulusevski to charge at. That's an undercooked back pass to Muric, who clears in the end in a hurry. And Porro's going to let this bounce out. 18 minutes to go. We haven't heard too since the start of the game. Spurs fans expectant that they can do another job.
Oh, what a switch from Porro.
In the second half, Porro finds Werner. Spurs fly forward. Werner cutting in field, goes for goal. It dips late, is touched over by Muric. Another Tottenham corner, they're racking them up now.
Yeah, positive from Werner, the ball just popped up. It was always on the rise, and the tall goalkeeper Muric, who's been really good this afternoon, just got a little fingertip. Another corner. Spurs are relentless, aren't they, at the moment, and they're hanging in there, Ipswich.
The margin is just one. Here's Porro's delivery. Oh, Muric gets it, loses it. He had his own player in front of him. And there was a bit of a mix-up, but Ipswich had got it away. It was George Hurst who's just come on. And Muric really struggled to get the ball. And in the end, well, I'm not sure what the referee was waving away, but it was something. Here's Kulusevski's cross. It's headed away. It was looking for Solanke. Oh, comes back to Johnson, who shoots well wide.
Someone's offside anyway.
Yeah, he's not got his shooting boots on today, Brennan Johnson. Now he's got a touch of cramp, and he doesn't want to time waste. He wants to crack on. The fact Muric has not been booked for time wasting yet is something of an oddity. He's going to position the ball.
Not replay, but the way the referee Darren England could help Spurs in that regard. He's put another 10-12 minutes on this game, Nick.
Well, I'm sure it'll get totted up and added on at the end. And the beginning of the end is in 16 minutes time. Spurs 1, Ipswich 2. Solanke bursts past Cajuste, who's not had quite the influence in this second half. Given to Porro, edge of the Ipswich box, floated delivery towards the far post, headed away by Johnson for Ipswich, out for a throw.
Yeah, he's just becoming a little bit more desperate for Ipswich. It's just a defensive job now, but that 90 minutes, 95, 100 minutes, Nick, it looks quite a long way off at the moment, doesn't it, for them?
Here's a throw for Spurs, and the back heel by Kulusevski only finds an Ipswich player. This goes back to Muric, who slices his clearance. It's going to drop to Werner, who tries to control it, and it bounces out of play. Rodrigo Bentancur has pulled one back for Tottenham, which is why this match is so fascinatingly poised. We said that at 2-0, we said the next goal was going to be absolutely critical. Spurs have got it, but they still trail. Lifted forward by Romero, a bit awkward, but headed back firmly to Muric before Brennan Johnson can get there. And again, he's going to take his time over his distribution. He gives it to Burgess, and now wide to Leif Davis on the left. Ipswich still trying to play out from the back. Ball rolled forward for Hutchinson, who has some space to run into here. Son is trying to get back at him. Here's Jack Clark, former Tottenham player. Skips in field, given to Hutchinson again, who's got a lot of space. Spurs guilty of ball watching almost. Hurst tries to get on the end of this, cleared away by a doggy. All of a sudden those Ipswich players just had so much space. Oh, it's been nearly given straight back to Hutchinson. Here's Kulusevski, inside his own half of the field. He's clipped it over the top of Hurst for Dragusin, who goes back to Vicario, who says there were no options.
Yeah, he didn't want to play the more difficult pass, did he? I think Kulusevski is the man that Spurs need to try and get on the ball, or even get Maddison on the pitch to just find a little bit of cleverness from somewhere.
The doggy goes down under a challenge from Ben Johnson. Free kick Tottenham on halfway, quickly taken. So it's Werner down the left, Kulusevski down the right, and Son and Solanke through the middle, and Porro sometimes when he joins as well, and Brennan Johnson wide on that flank as well. Here is Werner on the left, skips into the Ipswich box to the byline, low cross coming in, blocked by Tuanzebe, clears it for Morsey, who lifts it down the channel for Hutchinson. Bentancur has been penalised for a foul on Hutchinson.
I think that's generous. Clever from Hutchinson.
Talked himself into a yellow card. Yeah. That's unhelpful for Spurs.
They waste 3 minutes here, Ipswich. And that little nudge, and it toppled Hutchinson over, he fell on the ball. And a breather for the players, for the fans, and certainly for us, Nick, for about all of 3 seconds.
And then it'll be ramped back up again, because that's how this second half has gone. Clearance by Muric, given plenty of air. Hurst gets something on this, so does Hutchinson. Running square, gets challenged as he makes his way into the penalty area. Spurs can counter-attack though with Kulusevski over the halfway line. He's got Porro overlapping on his right, 3 waiting with the ball in the box. Kulusevski has delayed into Solanke, or given away, comes back to Solanke, who has to stretch, clips it back out wide to the left, and Werner and Udogie decide who's going to look after this.
Hurst is down at the other end.
Werner rolls it square.
No treatment for him.
No, he's on his own. Porro at the other end. Here's the cross, and it's gathered by Muric. Werner was offside. Muric tumbles to the ground.
Yeah, disappointing delivery from Spurs' right-hand side. He had a bit of time to put it into a better area there, but straight into Muric's hands. Another stoppage. Yeah. I'm surprised, Nick, on this, you know, where the players, now the coaching staff, they go after the fourth official, but the players on the pitch, hey referee, it's another 30 seconds.
Yep.
I'll be on at the ref. I'll be on that pitch, and that's another 2 minutes you got to add.
Do you think they do that?
I make that 15 minutes now, ref, that you got to add at the end of it. No, we don't want 7.
No.
It's 22 minutes.
Yeah. By the way, ref, you're not giving us 7, are you? In a minute, if I see 7 go up on that board, I'm going to laugh at you.
Just the planting of that psychological seed.
Do you know who they say was the best at that? And I'm sure you played against him, Brad. There's Hurst is being treated. It's 2-1 to Ipswich, and there's another conflab with the Ipswich bench. Dennis Wise. I heard that he just spent the whole game talking to the referee. He was that's all he did. Well, I mean, obviously he did other things as well, but constant. Oh, you missed one there, ref. You owe us one for that. Well, that's another mistake. You made all these mistakes, ref. You know, just constantly. Maybe someone needs to be nominated.
Yeah.
To be the person who just every now and again says, another 2 minutes. Don't know about your watch, ref, but mine's going on and on and on here. We'll be here all night.
I think the thing is as well, this is a grey area in football because of the margins that are so close at top flight football, where some coaches and players in their teaching or delivery in these moments, in terms of taking the momentum away from the team who's trying to come back into it, have become really, really clever. But you know whose knowledge of that is not particularly good, in my opinion? Our officials.
Right, interesting. Maybe you should give a talk at Stockley Park, Brad.
I'm not sure that they fully understand the nuances of that.
Are you available for a little session, a little breakout session with our Premier League refs, Brad, to fill them in on the dark arts? You can bring Dennis Wise with you.
Why not?
That'd be a session. I'd pay money to go to that. Honestly, we're going to have a restart. Muric clears. Harvey Barnes has put Newcastle United 3-1 up at Nottingham Forest at the City Ground. It seems to be Nottingham Forest's first defeat for about 4 years, and it isn't, but they've done very well recently, haven't they? It's 2-1 here to Ipswich, and Leif Davis goes hurtling down that left-hand side for the Tractor Boys, and then he runs it out of play.
Yeah, he should have done better there. It was a pass that Porro, as Spurs tried to build out on their right-hand side, couldn't get to.
Oh, that's given away by Benson Cord. He's lucky to win it back inside his own half of the field.
That's an Ipswich throw. Good decision.
Leif Davis with the challenge. Just seeing Bergvall continuing to warm up. And
Basuma, I think, for Spurs, he's jogging along.
Yeah, Basuma being called back to the duck. He doesn't seem massively keen on James Maddison at the moment. Him and Lee Carsley. Here come Ipswich. Clark with the Alice band feeds it into Morsey, who offloads to Nzabi. A rare excursion by Ipswich into Tottenham territory, which I have to say does not last for very long, because the doggies won it back. Oh, and Bentancur's trodden on it, and Hurst has won it back for Ipswich. Bentancur just switched off.
Yeah, I think with him on a yellow.
Hutchinson trying to battle away on that flank, and he's gone in to win a challenge against a doggy, and then in goes Johnson. This flies up in the air, shouts for handball. It's gone out for a throw into Ipswich.
Well, they've got it where they want it for a few minutes, and they've got to make this time sort of eke away here on the clock.
7.5 minutes to go. Tottenham 1, Ipswich 2.
Another age on the restart.
There's going to be so much added time. Manchester United are 3-0 up at home to Leicester. Alejandro Garnacho for what we can still, I think, briefly call Ruud van Nistelrooy's side.
Coaches heard you, Nick.
Oh, there we are.
Maddison with Basuma, double change.
Here's an Ipswich throw into the box, headed away by Dragusin, comes out to Hutchinson, back to Tuanzebe, tries to clip it out wide to Kajuste, who's been beaten to it. And Spurs are going to counter here. It's 3-on-2 in Spurs' favour, and Son is surging forward. Werner slaloms infield, comes back out to Son now, edge of the box, sets it for Werner, who gets right underneath, then sends it over the top. That was a big chance for Spurs, and Timo Werner shanks it. Here's the change. Bentancur's afternoon is over. For Basuma. And the other change is Brennan Johnson for James Maddison, who comes on to try and engineer something in the middle of the field later on in the game.
Well, he's going to go into midfield with Basuma. Still Werner, Solanke, Son, and now Kulusevski, the Spurs front four, with the Swede pushed up on the right hand side, replacing Johnson.
Now Romero's got to react to this, and does. And Basuma is fouled by Clark. Free kick to Tottenham inside their own half of the field. 6 minutes to go. The ball was moving as the free kick was taken, so back you go. A lot of very nervous football supporters inside this stadium. Everybody's nervous. Ipswich fans are nervous. Tottenham fans are very nervous. There's an awful lot at stake here as the ball's sent forward looking for some, but that's going to be marshalled out of play.
No, it wasn't a good pass from Werner. Son slid and dropped down the outside of the pitch there. And here's Muric. Will he get that yellow card?
Well, he still hasn't had one yet, but really he is grinding out every moment of this. And it's still the Ipswich fans who sing their songs, and it's still the Spurs fans who hold their breath and wait for salvation late on. Hutchinson's going to burst forward here, but it's hooked up in the air by Dragusin. Udogie can't go back to his goalkeeper because Hurst is in the way, so he takes it to the touchline and concedes a throw-in. Throwing Ipswich down the right, and it'll waste more time.
I think with defenders, Nick, you sometimes want to play with composure and control. Sometimes I think with Spurs this afternoon they could have just cleared the ball. And it's enabled an Ipswich attacking player who've been really hard working, really aggressive to sort of challenge, and Spurs have tried to sort of play out a little bit more purely, and the ball's gone off the pitch and it's slowed the game down, and Ipswich are in the lead, remember, and that's perfect for them. Good ball from Maddison.
Son over the halfway line. Here come Tottenham again, trailing 2-1. Son gallops towards the edge of the penalty area, dealt with by O'Shea, no foul. Morsey clears. Hutchinson away down the right for Ipswich. Spurs have got to get the ball downfield quickly. This is not what they need. Pacey Amari Hutchinson making progress down that flank, and he's got the better of Maddison, and he moves infield. Ipswich fans almost hold their breath as Clark shoots against his former club. It's blocked. Comes out to Udogie. The Spurs fans urge action. I think we're going to get a good load of added on time as Basuma's fouled. Free kick Tottenham. Here we go again. That miss, that sort of nizzle is starting to fall again here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs trailing 2-1. Here goes Werner down the left-hand side. Solanke in the box. Werner burns away from Tuanzebe into the penalty area. Tries to cut it back. Blocked by O'Shea. Another corner for Tottenham.
Yeah, good speed. Better from Werner to the byline. He's had a good game. I like his penalty box defending. O'Shea, I see him play for Burnley, and he always shows a commitment and a determination to that, and he's been called into action a good few times across this game this afternoon. Spurs corner.
Yeah, they've scored from a corner. Spurs in this half from Bentancur. Here's Maddison's delivery, whipped in and claimed by Muric. A poor delivery.
That was poor delivery, that was. Spurs fans are really frustrated. He sort of curled and chipped that one up.
Muric drops on it. And will, in what he will call good time, get rid of it.
Got a bit of a knock here.
Oh yeah, was he trying to put pressure on Muric? Maybe he was delaying deliberately, just to sort of force Muric into doing something. It sort of works. Solanke wins a header on halfway, and then Clark comes back and makes the challenge. 2 minutes of the 90 to go.
To Ipswich, to a man. They've shown tremendous resilience, spirit here. They're fighting for their lives for this first Premier League victory.
Kulusevski tries to help this on. It goes out off Johnson for a throw, off Kajuste rather for a throw. Here is Solanke, goes to ground, no foul, just kind of toppled over. Clark charges forward, given away to Dragusin on the halfway line. Porro has it on that right flank. Time continues to tick away. Here's Porro's cross, it's going to drop to Werner, heads it back towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Clearance by Burgess, comes to Son, can't control it. Cleared to Udogie, now Maddison 30 yards from goal. Chip back in and allowed to run by Muric out for a goal kick. Minute of the 90 to go. And frustration oozes round the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
I think Ipswich have got one or two players that they may be considering like time-wasting substitutes. Former Spurs academy player Massimo Luongo might be one.
Yeah, they'll probably find out how long will be added on.
It's going to be fascinating to see what this is going to be.
What do you reckon, Bradley? You've probably been keeping count more than most. What do you reckon?
I think it'll be 7.
I was going to say, yeah, it is going to be Luongo against his former club. I'm going to say 8. I think I'm going to say 9. Given some of the time wasting that we've seen. Here's Hutchinson, dashes around Dragusin. Hutchinson goes to ground. It's a foul by Udogie. Lasting Spurs knee right by the corner flag, and Dragusin buries his face in his shirt. He knows how much time this will waste.
Yeah, Kudus I think's got cramp. Very clever from Hutchinson now.
If he holds up 5 here, it's going to be a big riot. 8. We've got the change out of it. I should have stuck with 8, and I went for 9.
You know your fourth officials, Nick Godwin, well done.
8 minutes. Spurs trailing 2-1 to Ipswich Town. And Ipswich have played the free kick short. Here's Clark, wide to Hutchinson on the flank. Luongo to come on the next available moment. Clark gets dispossessed. Solanke tries to get hold of it. O'Shea has won it back for Ipswich. This is where Spurs do not want the ball. Long lofted pass out to Hutchinson on that right hand side. O'Shea in the penalty area. Spurs desperate to get the ball, get it downfield and get on terms, preferably before we go very much further into stoppage time. It's out for another Ipswich throw.
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect at the moment for Ipswich. Free kicks, throw-ins, substitutes.
Luongo comes on and Kajuste comes off, and we'll get full time at Gander Green Lane. Emily Herbert.
Yeah, and Palace will take a point at home today. It's finished 1-1 with Everton here. A disappointing point maybe considering the chances they missed today. India Paige Riley put the Eagles into the lead inside the first minute. Her first WSL goal for the Eagles, but it was a second half blunder when Hayashi was able to head it into their net to steal a draw here at Gander Green Lane. It's finished here. Crystal Palace 1, Everton 1.
Thank you very much indeed, Emily. We're about to get the half-time whistle at Victoria Road. West Ham women 0, Leicester women 0. The game restarts here with a throw-in to Ipswich, and it's going to be a free kick now, which Dragusin's going to take. It was moving, and the referee says, look, you've got to go back. And more time is wasted. We play for 2 of the 8. 6 minutes left. Tottenham 1, Ipswich 2 on BBC Radio London. Can Spurs grab an equaliser? And that is a foul and a free kick to Tottenham.
Cynical
on the halfway
from
line.
Davis. Double movement from Kulusevski. He's been knocked off the pitch actually by the forearm smash. And wants to wait, he wants to get him back on, he's requiring some treatment. He might have landed a little bit awkwardly there as well on his shoulder. It's a good ball from Porro, he just sort of put it in the space, didn't he? Down the right channel.
Another wrestling analogy there, I think, Bradley. The forearm slam, I think. He's off the pitch. And they're getting him up now, and it's a free kick to Tottenham on the halfway line. Just checking his right shoulder. We've got 5 minutes of the 8 minutes to go. You're listening to BBC Radio London. It's Tottenham 1, Ipswich 2. Spurs unbeaten at home since the middle of September. We're now approaching the middle of November, and that recent good record under threat from a team who up until today have not won a Premier League game this season. Here's Kulusevski driving forward. Dispossessed though, and Hutchinson will sprint clear. There are so many Spurs players converging on him, but he's very, very quick, and he's got George Hurst to his left. Here's Hurst, edge of the box, driving run, goes past Romero, leaves it for Hutchinson, who's forced wide. Ipswich won't really care. This is where they need the ball, and then there's a clumsy challenge by Bissouma. Free kick Ipswich. Housery, Bradley. Housery of the very worst sort, but it's affecting if you've not won all season.
It's top play from Hutchinson. There's not swirling, windy conditions inside the stadium, is it? Not really, no. In this world-class stadium.
Very still.
He didn't get blown over there, but it felt like it, didn't it?
Free kick to Ipswich, which they've worked back to the halfway line.
Brilliant, haven't they, in injury time minutes, Ipswich, the management and what they've done. And they've scruffed their way through here fantastically well.
Certainly how West Ham women have taken the lead against Leicester women in stoppage time at the end of the first half in the 3 o'clock kickoff. Palace 1, Everton 1, it finished. Liverpool 0, Chelsea 3.
Well, is there one chance for Spurs to salvage a point from this game, this hard-fought game?
Maddison has it inside his own half of the field. We've got 3.5 minutes of the 8 still to play. Tottenham trailing. Porro has it on the halfway line. They had a real go at Ipswich at the start of the second half, but that second goal has not arrived yet. It might arrive now. Here's Solanke inside the box. He's driven it towards goal. It's blocked, and it flies up in the air, and Ipswich clear it, and that's a foul by Kulusevski on Clark. Very soft, but the Ipswich goal survives. It's still 2-1.
Oh, it broke through, didn't it? He stooped and tried to head it clear, the Ipswich defender. It broke to Solanke. He wasn't sure. He almost had a bit too long on the opportunity from the angle. He wasn't sure to hit it with power, to lift it. Credit to Muric. He just stood big and strong. That 6'4" frame. He's been a key part actually this afternoon.
Well.
We don't sometimes talk about the performances of goalkeepers in the Premier League. You know, Pickford played very well and made saves for Everton yesterday at West Ham, but Muric has been outstanding.
2 minutes to go. Clark heads this forward for Ipswich. Romero wins ahead of it.
Silly foul,
Werner. Yeah, it's a foul on Luongo. And Darren England says free kick Ipswich, and again this is where Ipswich need the ball, and they will send this to one of the corner flags. Amari Hutchinson's free on the right. If he gets spotted, Cameron Burgess with some instructions about what he wants to do with this free kick, and Spurs have got to get the ball downfield ASAP. The free kick isn't very good. It drops to Udogie and Dragusin, and here we go. 90 seconds of the 8 minutes left. Spurs have left it late in the recent past. Can they produce a late rabbit out of the hat once again? It's with Kulusevski, who scored that goal against Sheffield United a year or so ago to give Spurs 3 points. It's a throw in which Porro takes into Bissouma, wants to run around Hurst. Given to Maddison now, who goes wide to Werner on that left-hand side. We're about to enter the 8th minute of 8 that the referee said he'd add on. Kulusevski on the right, Porro on the touchline, manoeuvres his way infield. Davis puts an arm across him. It's a free kick to Spurs.
Well, free kick. Do they cross it? Do they take it short?
There's all sorts going on out there. Porro waits.
Yeah, Dragerson.
He's going to be sent forward. Dragerson.
This may well be it, Nick. Into the mix-up. Who gets first contact?
Romero forward. Solanke in there. Dragusin 2. Werner at the far post. Son in the mix. It's all going to boil down, as a yellow card is shown to Amari Hutchinson for not retreating 10 yards. It's all going to boil down to this set piece. Spurs trailing 2-1 to Ipswich in the 8th minute of stoppage time. Porro lifts this in, headed away by Davis, who conceded the free kick. Comes out to Udogie. There are seconds left. Here's Werner on the left-hand side. Lifts it across. Muric comes and gathers it. He'll fall down once again. There cannot be much time left. The Spurs fans start to leave. Muric gets up and Muric will clear. I can't believe he hasn't been booked. Muric is going to bowl this out for Hurst. It goes over his head. Dragusin collects. We play on. The referee's not looking at his watch at the moment. Spurs have got to get this forward. There is virtually no time left. Bissouma wide to Kulusevski on that right hand side. This is it, folks. Here's the cross, headed away by O'Shea. Comes out to Kulusevski. Ref still lets the game go on. Porro on that right hand side. It's got to get in the box for Spurs. In it comes. Solanke tries to get hold of it. Cleared away by O'Shea once again. Battling is Kulusevski. Back into the Ipswich box it goes. Davis is full of go, but can Son keep it in? He can, but he allows Davis to clear. The ref's going to blow. The ref does blow. Ipswich have won their first game of the season in the Premier League. Tottenham have been beaten at home for the first time since the middle of September. They tried almightily, Spurs, to turn it round in the second half, and Rodrigo Bentancur's header put them back into it, but they could not break Ipswich down, who would not be denied that first 3 points of the Premier League season, and they just were unable to force Ipswich open for a second time. Boos ring out around the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which is emptying very, very quickly, except in that corner away on the far side of the field, and the former Tottenham youngster Kieran McKenna brings his Ipswich side to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and registers a first 3 point of this Premier League campaign for them. Tottenham will have the international break to ruminate over what went wrong. They go away to Manchester City next and then host Roma here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. There's some concern about an Ipswich Town player who's down injured at the moment on the pitch, and there is a medical attention for him, but from a Tottenham Hotspur perspective, this is a bad defeat, despite the Bentancur header to bring them back into it. In that second half, they were unable to claw back Ipswich's goals in the first half from Smodic and Delam. Full time in North London. Spurs 1, Ipswich 2.
BBC Radio London,
the home of London football.
Well, huge result for Ipswich at the bottom of the Premier League, their first win as a Premier League side for 22 years, but it's not a good day for Tottenham. Their home record, they've won 6 of the last home games, and they have lost today by 2-1. Bradley Allen, we were talking about the coaching battle today, who out-coached who, and you've got to say Kieran McKenna won out today.
Yeah, it's Kieran McKenna's day. I think you have to give him, his coaching team, the Ipswich players and the Ipswich supporters enormous credit this afternoon. They come out, they did a professional job, they showed an attacking intent in the early few minutes. They're across and celebrating in front of those fans. It's a really famous day for them, you know, their first victory at this level of football for over 20 years. This young coach has got tremendous pedigree, and one thing I will say, Xavi, about him and this Ipswich group of players is you do not win 2 promotions like he has if you don't have spirit and determination. And from a defensive point of view, especially in that second half when Spurs improved, because they had to throw caution to the wind and put Ipswich under pressure, boy did they defend that penalty box well. Crosses that went in, they headed it, they blocked it. The goalkeeper a PB for him. He was a man of the match in my opinion this afternoon. Muric, he time wasted. All the Ipswich players time wasted, but they got themselves over the line. They used dark arts. We shouldn't take away. But in that first half, they showed some good attacking quality. Smodics was at the heart of that. Scored and assisted. Spurs were better in the second half. They got the goal from Bentancur from the corner. Solanke's one was controversial, the VAR award that went against Spurs. But on today's performance, Spurs didn't actually deserve to take no more than a point from this game. They did deserve to win it, Javi. Ipswich had a good measure of them today, and full credit to them.
Well, what does it say about the fact that, the last time they were in London, they went 2-0 up at Brentford. That was a topsy-turvy game. They equalised very late on and then still conspired to lose it. And they've come back with that mentality, knowing that that's all happened, gone 2-0 up, and the Solanke goal at the beginning of the second half even, gets disallowed.
Progress.
Is that crucial? Is that crucial?
Progress at this level and game management, and when you slow the momentum down of the game, or if you have to chase it and go forward and commit yourself, and the understanding of that, because not many of these players, let's not forget, have played at this level. They don't have vast Premier League experience, but they will be learning that on the job as they go along. What it has given them with maximum points this afternoon is a fighting chance. What was Ipswich's aim? Start the season, fall from bottom. Nothing more than that. Nottingham Forest stayed up in the Premier League the 23-24 season with 32 points. If Ipswich would have lost today, they would have had to have took 3 points from every third Premier League game, or draw all of their remaining fixtures. Impossible, not going to do that. Now they've got a bit more of a chance mathematically.
Well, they are outside of the bottom three now. That result means that Crystal Palace are in the relegation zone, Bradley. What about Tottenham though? Where does this leave them? They're 10th in the table. Still a long way outside that top four. If one of Arsenal or Chelsea gets a result, it could be even further adrift. It's not a great day for Tottenham.
No, it's not a good day with the blips as well, away at Palace and at Brighton. I think, and I always look at the numbers, sometimes, Xavi, and mathematically. Liverpool 28 points, Manchester City 23 points with a depleted squad, and funny enough, Spurs in 2 weeks after the international break have got to go up to the Etihad and play Man City. That might not be a good time. I think they'll respond after losing at Brighton last night. A result either way, Chelsea, Arsenal, the top three's done. Fact. He's absolutely done. Like the top three positions in the Premier League, the best than Spurs can hope for is fourth, but sometimes to get fourth you've got to get 67, 68, 69, 70 points. Xavi, Spurs have got to really go some to get really close to that come May next year.
You were saying at half-time, James Maddison needs to come on in this game. He was brought on around about 84th minute, something like that, around about with 10 minutes remaining. Do you think that was a tactical thing, or is he not fit enough to play for that long? Is that why he didn't come on as early as that?
Well, he did obviously feature on Thursday out in Turkey. Spurs had a long trip back from there, and a tough evening on that one in the Europa League, and a late return. So maybe the manager, in discussion with his staff, felt that for James this afternoon it wasn't to be a huge amount of minutes and contribution this afternoon, but the pattern of the game, and maybe a requirement that and what Spurs needed was some creativity from somewhere, and I thought maybe with 20-25 minutes to go and that time, Maddison might have been the one to come on, because when he did against Villa last week, he was brilliant. He's got a wonderful free kick, but that decision was made and it was too late in the day. Although there was 8 injury time minutes, Ipswich more than did a job, and they got over the line this afternoon.
And what does it say about this soft underbelly, the reputation that maybe Spurs don't want to have, that in this game, where you'd have thought, we were talking about it before, there's by no means is it a formality, but teams can come to Spurs and go at them and really, really hurt them, and that's what Ipswich did in that first half. And obviously Spurs huffed and puffed in the second 45, maybe could have got a point out of it, but Ipswich deserved to be in front at half time by the scoreline that they were, and that's a team that's fighting near the bottom of the table.
Yeah, no, it's a very good point that you make, and I think to be fair to the Spurs manager, it's something that he clearly identifies. He wants this style of football. He wants his front foot football. It does defensively leave Spurs vulnerable. It's another game where they've given up goals, although Ipswich crafted and took those goals very well. And it's a Tottenham side that is still a work in progress. And when you've got some younger players, some newer players still finding their feet, firstly settling at this football club, and performing, because there's a weight of expectation, there's some pressure there for those Spurs to sort of overcome, but that takes time, that takes experience. But I think what you're seeing is there's some inconsistencies there, and that's where Spurs have sort of dropped some points so far, and some key ones in some games really on paper that I think the crowd would have expected them to have picked up a few more.
Were they missing Van de Ven today again? Yeah,
Van de Ven obviously is instrumental to sort of playing with this really high defensive line and the squeeze, because of his electric speed over distance down that left hand side of the pitch, and working alongside, and that partnership with Romero. Dragason's coming in, he hasn't had a load of football, some Europa League, he did okay this afternoon alongside Romero, but again he's another player, he's a new arrival, he's had to be patient for his opportunity.
Bradley, thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Jerry.
And not a good day for Tottenham. They have been beaten by Ipswich Town by 2-1 here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Elsewhere in the Premier League, Manchester United have beaten Leicester City by 3-0. Newcastle United have come back from a goal down to beat Nottingham Forest 3-1 at the City Ground. That must be Forest's first defeat in a long time, certainly at home as well. There's a big result and a big game potentially about to happen in the Premier League. Harry Symeou is at that one. It's Chelsea against Arsenal at Stamford Bridge. Harry, can you just remind us of the team news again?
Absolutely, I can, Xavi. The two teams are just warming out on the pitch in front of me, but the big news for Chelsea is that Cole Palmer starts for them. Fofana will partner Colwill at the back. Jackson will lead the line, and Caicedo will captain Chelsea's side. The big news for Arsenal is that they get Martin Odegaard and Declan Rice fit enough to start. There was big doubts about both of those players going into this game. Out of the team go Marino and Trossard. Havertz starts up front as well, despite suffering quite a nasty cut in midweek over in Milan. Kickoff is around about 20 minutes or so away. Both sides looking in pretty good shape and pretty good condition. This should be a cracker.
Yeah, as you say, Harry, Odegaard fit, Palmer fit. What we're going to see today is two teams with basically most of their best players in, and that could mean that we're in for a really good game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Enzo Maresca's made plenty of changes throughout this season. He's got a lot of rotational options, but from an Arsenal perspective, this, in my opinion, is their best 11, especially for an away game, when you consider what Martinelli offers as an outlet and his work rate, and then you think about the fact that maybe Jurriën Timber's that little bit more secure defensively than Ricardo Calafiori when he plays at left back. I think this is Arsenal's best 11. The only question mark is how fit is Odegaard, how fit is Rice? Are those guys going to be able to last the entire game? If not, Mikel Arteta is going to have to use the bench very wisely. But for Chelsea, they've had a really good strong start to the season. They've impressed people. They've done a lot better, I think, than people expected when there was all that stuff going on in the summer, lots of players being sort of cast aside by the management. A lot of them ended up moving on, some of them didn't, some of them are still knocking around. So I think for Chelsea to have been able to shut out that noise and just get on with it, it's been really positive from them. And as I say, this is a really evenly matched game here at Stamford Bridge, and hopefully it delivers.
Should be a cracker. Harry, thank you very much for that. That game is live on our colleagues BBC Radio 5 Live. In just over 15 minutes we'll be getting Harry's reaction, no doubt, tomorrow evening on the London Sports Show with Nick Godwin and Phil Parry from 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. More reaction to this game and to that one tomorrow morning, of course, in Breakfast with Matthew on BBC Radio London. That is it from us this afternoon. Good result in the end for Ipswich, not so much for Tottenham. Tottenham this afternoon. They are 10th in the Premier League table after a 2-1 home defeat, their second home defeat of the season, their first since mid-September. That's the full-time scoreline here. Thank you very much for joining us on the home of London Sport. We're going to hand you back to Gabby Roslin, who'll take you through to the rest of the afternoon on BBC Radio London.
I didn't. That was great
massive
fun.
fan. But it was weird that when you meet people that you just only knew from TV, and then you suddenly makes you feel like you've made it in inverted commas when you're hanging out with people who you grew up watching on the telly.
You're too nice. So Ed Byrne, everybody that's seen you on tour, they know exactly what to get. Everyone that sees you on television knows what to get, but you always give that little bit of naughty twinkle extra, and that's what I think is your thing.
Well, I'm giving it. I've been my twinkle. I'm trying not to let it fade because I've been on tour now for over a year. I've been doing the same show since August of last year. This show that I'm currently touring premiered at the Edinburgh Fringe August of last year. But I'm just going. Well, I've been everywhere. I've been in Australia. I did 2 months in Australia and a month in New Zealand with it.
How was that?
And I did 2 weeks in New York with it. So I've been everywhere.
Okay, so let's start. New Zealand, Australia, New York. How were they all? What were the audiences like there?
Do you know what? New Zealand is a place I love going. It's
Why?
funny.
Why?
I don't know, but I sell tickets there. It's as simple as that.
That's a reason to like it.
I went to New Zealand for about a month, and I think I sold 3 times as many tickets as I did in the 2.5 months I was in Australia. It's just one of those things.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And I'll sell 10 times as many tickets in New Zealand as I will in Ireland, which has the same population.
That's weird.
No, I'll go where they'll have me. Yeah. And I'll also go to New York where nobody came.
Oh, really? I was going to say, what's New York like?
Well, if you can make it there, you'll make it anywhere. I'm not convinced I can make it anywhere.
Was it really? No?
The funniest moment, I think, was at one point I recognised a woman in the front row. There was 20 people, I think, in the audience. And I was asking if there was any English people in, and the woman goes, yeah. I went, well, I know you. And then I just turned to the rest of the audience going, just to give you some context of how desperate we are for audience, this is my wife's ex-boyfriend's ex-girlfriend. That's the extent of the Facebook reach we are having to try and drag people into the show.
So how do you... obviously in the early days when people are just finding out and you're doing all the smaller gigs, did you have that sudden feeling of, I've travelled back in time with 20 people and your ex-boyfriend's ex-girlfriend's ex-boyfriend
are showing up? That's and it's nice. It's humbling.
Is it fearful? Do you get scared? Is it, oh no, who's going to laugh thing?
No, in fact, in a way, it kind of feels good because when people come along who maybe, who don't know you and you got to convince them again. That's a nice, because you do reach a level when you've been doing it long enough where you show up at a comedy club and, people who are into comedy will know you. So you kind of already have that level that you walk on stage with. So people kind of assume, even if they're not a fan, right? But they're kind of like, I know. Okay, he seems to know what he's doing. So to go somewhere where they have absolutely no idea who you are, it's actually quite nice to then feel that you still got it. That you
they laugh?
That
Please
you
tell me
can prove yourself.
Audience.
No, the gig
in New York.
The gigs were good.
Oh, good.
With the people who showed up enjoyed themselves. They just didn't show up in numbers that made it worthwhile me spending all that time there.
TV as well, though. Obviously, it's so interesting when I do my deep dives the day before the show, and I think you must have been on every single TV show in the UK.
Is
there a show that you haven't? You won Celebrity Everything.
Yeah, do you know what? I think one of my greatest regrets was Mastermind. I only came third out of 4. Luckily, John Bishop was on as well, and he picked the Irish famine as his chosen special subject and did not do well at all. So I was grateful for his presence. But Annika Rice and Tristan Gemmell from Holt both did better than me.
But you can do it again, can't you?
I'd love to. I'd love to do Prince this time. I wanted to do Prince that time, but Beverly Knight was doing Prince in the same series, so I couldn't. So I did the Star Trek movies instead.
Would you like some... Shall we play you some Prince?
I'd love a bit of Prince.
Okay, what Prince would you like to play?
Okay, let's go with Kiss. That's always a good one.
Okay, Freddie, there we go. We'll have a bit of Prince and Kiss, which we'll play for you in a moment. And then I might ask you some questions. Should we do that? Shall we reenact
Do you want to just call up some Prince questions and throw them at me on air?
Yeah.
Love it.
After we play it.
Love it.
Okay. We're going to play another song first, and then we'll play Prince.
Because we're not that quick.
No, I'm afraid he's fast. he's nodding. He's nodding through the glass. He's on it. He's absolutely on it. I've got to come up with the questions. I'll do that. Thank goodness for mobile phones. I'll do that. But you've done every single panel show and game show.
I've done. Yeah, I do like a quiz show, I have to admit. So we won. Me and my family, we won Family Fortunes. We won 30 grand for charity on Family Fortunes. That was mainly down to my sister.
That's fantastic.
I've got 2 pointless trophies.
Two of them.
I won the chase. Yeah, I'm pretty. I do love a quiz. I've got to say. If there's one career choice I'd like to still have left open to me, is to do a quiz show.
I was going to say, why have you not done one?
Yeah, I don't know, Gabby. You tell me why I haven't done a quiz show yet.
Because the right person.
Because Bradley Walsh won't leave. He's doing all of them. That's why. Bradley Walsh and Ramesh Ranganathan have the entire quiz show industry sewn up between them.
Well, do you need to come up with a quiz yourself?
Or I need to hire a hitman to take out either Ramesh or Bradley.
Oh, no, you got to come up with one.